See ya.
Suzume?
A very interesting start to this episode of the CSC Critics Podcast. Hello, everybody. With me today, we have...
Hello, everybody. I'm one of your hosts, a Geeky Writer.
I'm Crimson Maroon.
And I'm Sprinks. And hey, if you're listening from Kobe, or Tokyo, or somewhere in Japan, you can find us over on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Blue Sky, Blue Ski. I apologize. I don't know how any of those are pronounced in Japanese. We also have a LetterBox, where you can find our average out numbers graphs of whatever the doohickey we have covered that said week or previous weeks. We have visual side of things on YouTube, Rumble, and Spotify. We have audio platforms on Spotify and a ton of others. Thank you for listening from there, if that's where you're listening from, or watching, if that's your cup of tea. I think that's the whole spiel. With that, we'll go into the intro. And back from the intro, but today we're covering Suzume. Did you see this one coming? Maybe you did. We covered the other two disaster trilogy films. If it's a trilogy, it's very odd.
It's very loose.
Yeah,
I was looking out on this one, and I didn't really see any connections. But I'm sure we'll discuss it.
We will. We're going to do this one with, we'll go with, I'm in charge. What do I choose? I got host card privileges. We'll do history. Then we'll do facts. Then we're going to go in the coverage, which is going to be linear popcorn structure. And then wrap it all up with a nice bow of summary ratings right at the end. So let's start with the history. And since Crimson was the last to talk before I did, let's go with Ryder.
Alrighty. My history for this one is this is the first of the disaster trilogy that I did manage to go see in theaters. So I've seen it once. Actually, no, I've seen it twice before we did it for the podcast. I've seen it once in theaters where I saw the dub, and then I rewatched the dub about a year ago on Crunchyroll, and I watched it again for the podcast. So that is my history with the movie specifically. As for the director and the other movies of the trilogy, kind of can just track our history through our other coverages.
Check them out.
No, classic Crimson. And in classic Crimson fashion, he'll be going next.
Well, that is classic. Suzume. I didn't really know it existed until it was brought up at some point. I don't remember if it was Weathering with You or Your Name, but it was brought up. That's when I heard of it. I did not seek it out to watch after we watched Weathering with You or Your Name. I saved it for when we were going to do it one day. Today is one day. So I've seen it once, and I guess that's it. I saw the dub.
Good thing to specify. Yes, unfortunately, audience, we had a little miscommunication on our own end. Ryder and Crimson both saw the dub version. I did not. I watched the sub. So, I was in Japanese. Will that change anything? Maybe? I don't know. But that leaves me. So, we covered Weathering with You first. And I didn't know anything about Weathering with You when we covered it. Then we covered Your Name. And that's when I was baffled that Your Name is prior to Weathering with You. So we watched like 2 and then 1. But, Ryder, I think you're the one who said, like, they're 3 movies made by the same person and not necessarily a trilogy of the world because the characters aren't really connected. And I was still a little baffled over it. I'm like, why did we go 2 to 1? So I think after watching Your Name, I then went and watched Suzume because it was out. And I watched that on my own. And I don't remember if that was in sub or dub. I'm going to guess it was probably in sub. Because I don't remember watching this movie either of the 2 times I've seen it with English.
It's been a wild ride through this trilogy for sure. They Yeah, because I didn't know they were considered a trilogy until after Weathering with You either. So it was in my
Yes.
it was after had watched the movie for the podcast, and I was doing prep work for being the host of that. That's when I discovered, oh, this is considered a trilogy. And I'm like, well, shiitake mushrooms.
Yes. The whole loose thing I found ish is all three movies are in the same world. But I don't know how much time is between all the events. I don't know like the character connections
Yes.
or any of that.
The
I don't know if in Weathering with You there's closers walking around. I don't know.
The confirmation that it is in the same world is the protagonists from Your Name do actually show up in Weathering with You. They haven't met up again, so this is kind of between the when we run into those characters, we've run into them before they reunite at the end of Your Name. So they're still like walking around, and they still have the red string of fate stuff between them, but they are living their lives in Tokyo. So we do actually see those characters in Weathering with You, but obviously they're not super relevant to the plot from obviously for first time watchers.
Oh no, but still connected world. But in
Yeah.
Suzume, there isn't. We don't see them. We don't see the characters in Weathering with You in this one. At least I don't think. So
Yeah,
I didn't catch it.
I didn't catch them either.
okay. Well, I've seen this movie twice. Just to clarify. With that, then we'll go into facts. Took them off the internet, ladies and gentlemen. They may be true. They may be false. Take it with a grain of salt. So just in case. But what I found was the initial release date of this film was November 11th, 2022, and that was in Japan. It came overseas to the US of April 14th, 2023. So it took a bit. It has
Half
a
a year.
runtime.
That's
Half a year.
true.
That is quite a bit.
I actually think that's partly due to the fact that Your Name is the second highest grossing movie in Japan.
You are jumping the gun here, sir.
Oh, sorry.
We have a runtime of 2 hours and 2 minutes. Budget I found was $13 million. I'm going to believe it was USD from what I was looking at. It just said $13 million. It wasn't in. Shoot, I'm blanking on the Japanese currency.
Yen.
Yen. Thank you. Box office was $314.9 million, so it definitely made a budget back. Rated as PG, genre adventure drama. It is directed by none other than Makoto Shinkai. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. I did take 2 years of Japanese. Who has done such works like Children Who Chase Lost Voices and Your Name and Weathering with You. Oh, shocking. And then we have a couple fun facts here. The scene where little Suzume is with her mother and playing and talking about the chair was directly based off of reality when Shinkai came back home after shooting the film. His little daughter was always around him asking if he'd finished the movie or not. And his answer usually was always, no, not yet.
That's cute. In a good way. Like life imitates art, that sort of thing. I love it. Or art imitates life.
Yeah. While the movie did very well at the Japanese box office and surpassed the 10 million ticket threshold, it became in April 2023 in the US the most successful Japanese animated film of all time at the Chinese box office, and the second most successful Japanese film after Manhunt of 1976, with more than $80 million. It also became the most successful Japanese movie of all time in Korea, with more than 5 million tickets sold, and a threshold that has not been yet met before for a Japanese movie.
That's interesting.
Anime is slowly seeping out into other cultures, and funny enough, Manhunt is on my watch list even before you brought it up.
Ooh, I hope it's nothing like the video game.
So
That'd
do
be
I.
certainly a
Blood.
different movie. Next one, Suzume is the fourth highest grossing Japanese film of all time worldwide, grossing more than films such as Ponyo, Howl's Moving Castle, and Weathering with You itself. It remains outperformed, however, by Shinkai's earlier film, Your Name. which I guess
Uh,
is either 1 through 3.
Yeah, it was second, but when I did my research previously, so I could be outdated. It's been a year or two since then.
well, was the new Demon Slayer movie or whatever was that a Japanese one? Because that I think smashed records.
I don't know. I think
That probably
Jujutsu Kaisen 0 was that also a pretty big one?
uh oh, the Chainsaw Man movie was the one that smashed records. I
Oh,
remember.
the Chainsaw Man one too. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
it's
there's the Chinese one, Zen. I'm blanking on it, but the first one didn't do very well, I think, and the second, they both did well. The second one's like the number one Chinese movie, I think.
Sean, you? No, I have no idea what you're referring to.
No, Taiwan. That's one thing. The 2020 lockdowns inspired Shinkai for the character of Sota. He's a young, healthy, tall, and dynamic man, but he's a prisoner in that little chair, and that's how Shinkai felt during the COVID-19 pandemic.
I wouldn't have gotten that. I could see it.
That's an interesting symbolic connection. Yeah, I wouldn't have connected that having seen the movie a couple times, but knowing it, I can see it. That's like one of those cool meta things that inspires an artist, you know?
Yeah. And the last fact I have here, which gives a little nugget of connection, the tune that's playing on the video of Daichi walking along the bridge on its way to Kobe belongs to the soundtrack of the previous film Weathering with You.
Okay,
I
I thought it
see.
sounded familiar, so I guess that's where my brain tingled.
That's all the facts I have. Unless
All
anyone
right.
has any additional ones.
I don't. I don't have one.
I
Okay.
don't either.
Okay, double okays. With that, we'll then go into the coverage. Again, linear popcorn going from beginning to end. If we jump a little around, we jump a little around. That's okay. And let us start with Crimson.
Okay. So the standout for me for this trilogy is in the visuals. I'm sure that's for a lot of people, but definitely for myself, the visuals are stunning. So going to this, the third one we've covered, Weathering with You was a surprise. Your Name, I thought was an improvement. Was this an improvement in the visual department? I don't think so. I think it's about the same as Weathering with You. I don't think it made it to Your Name quality. That might have been because I was more paying attention to the techniques they used here. Like at 3 minutes and 8 seconds, when Suzume's riding her bike down the hill before she meets Soda. I said Soda. Sota. Um, I was paying attention to the trees in the background, and they copy pasted trees that were going by, and I mean that's a common thing, but I don't recall in the other two films catching anything like that, like animation shortcuts in the other two, and they used a few in this one, but that was an early one that stood out. Was just copy pasting trees.
So you think the first film is the best looking? And they downgraded since then.
Yes, Your Name, I think, is the best looking.
Interesting.
Maybe they're more established and they like the first one was to be like, hey, look what we can do, and then they like plateaued just to be safe. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say these are safe films. These are gorgeous films, but I do think this doesn't hold up to Your Name visually.
Huh. Well, I didn't get the opportunity to sit down and watch Your Name and Weathering with You a second time through, or a rewatch before Suzume to compare, because I have not seen those movies since we probably covered them.
Yeah, we covered Weathering with You 3 years ago, and Your Name a year ago.
Been a while.
Yeah. I've honestly been waiting to rewatch the whole trilogy until we covered Suzume for the podcast. So, thumbs up. I'm gonna do that at some point. I'll start with the 10th anniversary. That's gonna be for Your Name.
Exactly. So. That's what we guess we can say. As of the release of this, I think we just missed it. But the past weekend was the 10-year anniversary back in theaters of Your Name.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So
Unless it's a 2-week situation, then I think you still have time.
I don't know, but it's a 4K version of the film, so I am absolutely going to theaters for that because Your Name was beautiful already, and I want to see it in 4K.
But yes, if it's more than 1 week, you listening to this right now, of course, if you're listening to this when this comes out, you still got time. But hey, if this is in the backlog, it's like, oh, sorry. We should have told them in Golden Pond about Your
That's true.
Name.
Oh, darn. But we'd be hinting at what's coming.
We do, well, maybe we've covered Your
We're on
Name, so
Golden
we
Pond.
can just
Oh,
say.
by the way, if you're interested, next week
Oh,
Your
yeah,
Name's 10th anniversary is coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be I just want to say that we're not sponsored by Your Name, but we just like the movie. Go see it. Or in their coverage too.
We're not sponsored by anything, but hey, if anyone wants to give us a sponsorship,
We'll
contact
snatch
us.
it up. We'll gobble it up.
Well, don't say that. We don't know yet. We'll have a meeting, but we'll
And
talk
then we'll
about
gobble
it.
it up.
We're very open to talking about it.
All right. I've got a point to jump to if we want to pull this back to.
Sure, go right ahead.
Well, actually, let me preface this. I think I agree with Crimson on the visuals. I still think, my stance with this whole trilogy. I think all of them are very gorgeous and beautiful films to look at. But I am tended to agree that this is more equivalent to Weathering with You for me than it is for Your Name, because I think Your Name still tops, I guess, for visual style. But I think that there are things in here that look more aesthetically beautiful. Does that make sense at all?
I suppose so. Yeah. Again, I can't remember. I need to sit down and watch them all.
Yeah.
Without getting too far, so I apologize to a writer because you want to jump to something. So hold it down. Don't forget it.
I got it.
I want to piggyback asking what is to you the best, maybe not blanket statement of best looking shot in this film, but I guess the most gorgeous, outstanding piece of animation to you in the film.
Gorgeous piece of animation, huh?
Like, what's the best looking to you?
I've got mine, I think.
Go ahead. I'll think on mine.
I really loved Suzume tying up her hair when she's like lost Soto and is suiting up to go on the journey on her own and putting on the boots and cleaning her feet. There's a scene there where she puts her hair up, and I thought the animation was super fluid and it looked really, really good. That's probably my favorite animation specifically in the film.
Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty fluid. There were a few like oddly fluid moments that stood out in that, but I guess mine would be the first time the worms breaching through the door and like the water area, the standalone door.
Yeah.
I think that was pretty visually striking with the reflections in the water. I like the effects of the worms, like red, not like particle effect, but it's hard to describe what it kind of looks like. But I liked how it looked.
Like, how do you describe what that looks like?
Yeah, it's interesting.
It looks like
the cooking of a kielbasa.
Yeah, it looks like that. Have you guys seen or maybe I'm thinking of the wrong visual, but I'm remembering like Ash falling constantly away from a particular character in the Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't even remember if it's the right franchise. But
say Ash?
Yeah. So my idea my concept is that like
sorry. Ash is in like the physical Ash. My first thought, because
not
we're
a
talking
person.
About anime, I want Ash Ketchum in a Pirates movie.
Yeah, no, not Pokemon. Man, I haven't seen a Pokemon movie in a while. But it had this kind of like toxic corruption appearance to it. That's kind of a staple for anime because I partake in a lot of anime. When someone's trying to partake in a particular anime, they always go with this kind of reddish, blackish sort of look for some sort of toxicity. The ones that are jumping into my head is like Shield Hero when he's like in the first season when he's like has like the hate shield or whatever, the shield that when he uses when he's super angry, kind of has a similar vibe to like the visual appearance of this. There's one in the Fates. There's a couple in the Fate series actually. So I agree. The worm is very very good, and it's very cool looking, and it's got a very very like almost airy, toxic appearance to it that is imposing in its own way on the visual setting because everything in the film was like contrasting colors to that.
Yeah. I did specify the first one. I do think it didn't maintain the same quality through the film on each appearance. I think the first appearance is the best.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Sprinks, you asked the question I was worried someone would ask. Because at the end of this movie, I was thinking to myself, where is the meteor scene? Because that was the big standout to me. And Your Name was like, wow, that's amazing.
Oh, where's the big
I never
twist?
really, I never felt that in this one. Which is why I had to think of, well, okay, what would be the best looking scene? Because I didn't really feel there was one when I finished.
Gotcha.
Visually,
Gotcha.
not plot, because
Okay,
that was good plot wise, but visually the meteor was beautiful. Yeah. So yours?
I really like just Suzume looking through doorways. I think the one when she falls kind of the halfway of the movie in like the subway entrance into the Ever After. I think that might be my favorite because it's such a grand door, opposed to the other ones that are more just one person shaped. So I think like the spectacle of looking through a porthole, portal door, essentially, in a rundown looking average human place. I think the spectacle of like the parallel between the two stands out to me as being like
Yeah,
a
like the
visual
old world being
shock.
crashed somewhere in the new world, that sort of feeling.
Yeah.
I guess I could tell you guys now that we finally watched the movie. The visual you're describing, Crimson, of like the door on the water and the reflections and everything like that. That visual is from the trailer of this movie is what prompted me to pick one of these quote unquote films for the podcast because I wanted to watch the trilogy after that. I didn't know it was a trilogy at the time, but I wanted to see like what the director has done previously.
Yes, it got you into the director's work, not necessarily the trilogy.
Yes. So we can thank the visual of the door, like on like the center of the reflecting pool, for I guess the podcast finding its way here sooner than it might have.
Our 3-year journey through this trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry it took a while.
Yeah.
But hey, better late than never.
We got there.
A little backtrack, which is great with popcorn, what we're doing here. To me, I had to find the right name. The worm kind of to me resembles the look of just like a red stratus cloud.
Yeah, I can agree with
Especially
that.
since it's going upwards. Like they always think it's smoke, but it's not billowy, like a Cumulonimbus look or a
No, it's uniform.
nimbostratus.
It's not.
Yeah, it's
You have a
not
list
bumpy.
of clouds on.
I have a list of clouds. I was looking for the name of the cloud I was looking for.
I remember my cloud research when we did Billy's balloon, because I had to look up the heights of the clouds to determine how much damage he'd take.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, just like the different look, like it wasn't billowy. It was that of a worm from afar, like very what's the word I'm looking for? Constricted, I suppose.
Defined.
Yeah. I wanted to find a smarter word to say than sausage-like.
So,
I mean,
the sausage
listen,
cloud.
listen. Don't be ashamed about drawing sausages. It's one of the jokes that's thrown around in the art community when you're learning to draw. So like, don't be afraid to throw the word sausage
Sausage
around.
fingers.
You get those big green sausage fingers out of my face. Sorry.
see. While you guys made the joke, I immediately went to Everywhere All at Once with the sausage universe hand, the
Oh,
sausage
gosh.
hand universe.
Oh, the
Yeah,
hot dog
that's
hands.
right.
Man, I have not seen that movie in a while either. But anyway, shoot, we were jumping off of like 3 different topics. Were they all
Yeah,
wrapped up?
I had a
You
point
brought up
originally.
best like art direction
Yes.
or visual scene.
Best visual looking. Ryder, you said best like animation that popped out to you. I guess which is one and the same. I can jump, I suppose, to an animation off of that I really liked, that I thought was not needed, but them incorporating it just added more dimension to the camera work, which is always it's tough for me to really kind of see cinematography in an animated film because it's not physical camera placements or like that of like Jon Favreau's Lion King, where it's, you know, a camera they put in a virtual space kind of thing. Like it's drawn or computerized to a screen look of a 2D space. Well, a 2D window in a 3D space kind of look. So it's a little difficult of like where they set the camera, especially if I don't see the behind the scenes of like how it went about. But there's a scene during the amusement park portal where Suzume runs to go close the door as Sota goes after Daijin, and Suzume turns around the corner, and I think I have it at 47:41. So sorry, big jump here. But as she turns, the camera or the viewpoint we see moves as if the wind she's bringing by her movement hits the camera and shakes it a little. Like it's like it feels like if someone's like recording a video and someone runs by them, like they are gonna jostle and move a little, even if not touched.
Yeah, like it's like they're reacting to the wind shear of what's happening.
Yes, and they animated that in, and I thought that was a really cool detail, without it just being like, you know, shaky cam drama, tensions going on. It wasn't that.
Yeah, it's a subtle level of immersion, which I again I really love the fact that they do stuff like that.
I mean, a lot of planning gets put into the viewpoint of an animated film, as it's got to go through storyboarding, which is the primary thing, but it would also go through the director who's directing the look of the the film, and several other departments to discuss how a shot would look. Opposed to with a normal camera that like Sprinks is talking about, there are people that discuss, but it is a lot less
I mean, they both have storyboards.
plotted.
Yes.
They are, but there's a little bit more wiggle room with a camera. Meanwhile, with animation, you got to do at least a 2D animation. You got the 2D artists, you got the colorizers, you have the CGI artists, because a lot of there's CG in this.
Back in the day, like a hand-drawn Disney film of like, say, like a scene from like Jungle Book or Aristocats, and it's hand-drawn, and Walt comes over and he goes, "Do you think we could show it from the other side of the room? Like at that angle?" And they have to like scrap the whole thing they just drew to do the other thing. That scene?
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Funny opposed to with a camera where you could just move the camera.
Well, you just
like,
move
hey, I think that might look better. And
yeah.
Boom. So this has to be thoroughly explored and planned.
Yeah. And funny enough, right, with that, on that topic, to kind of continue on with another example for Disney animation, when Robin Williams was ad-libbing for the genie.
For Genie,
yeah. That changed the entirety of how that department operated. Just because they had to like animate to the characters that he was doing, and that had to, because when you're animating, you tend to like stick to one character profile. But the genie wasn't that, and Robin Williams is not that either. So to capture the full scope of like what Robin Williams was doing with that character, they had to change how their approach to animation entirely for the duration of working with him.
Very true.
So yes, good choice on their part to do the real world affected camera, I guess. Not shaky cam, but affected by events cam.
Yes, more immersion incorporated in the film.
Yeah, I guess I'll clarify. My favorite animation is her tying up her hair. My favorite visual is probably the solo door on the reflecting pool.
Like her discovering it, or it open?
The discovery. Just the simplicity of it, like, has a majestic feeling about it.
That's a good pick.
I mean, I have to pick that. I mean, that's the whole reason I ended up picking.
Well, you don't
Weathering with You
have to pick it. You could pick anything. You could have picked a shot of the karaoke bar. I don't know.
I know.
I loved how the credits looked, the black and white
contrast. Yeah. Oh man, instead of white and black, it's black and white.
Really made the words pop.
Wow. Don't you dare get me started on color theory.
But no, I mean,
did you see
like,
her eyes turn pink whenever she saw something from the?
Now, it could have been any fruit, but they chose like tangerines. What's the significance of interacting with someone with the color orange?
When they first dropped, I thought they were tomatoes.
No, I don't think they were tomatoes. I think they were oranges of some kind. But
I will say that to go back to like why I would still pick it as my favorite piece of animation visuals, I still rewatch the trailer for this movie occasionally.
I should check it out. I haven't seen the trailer.
I will send it to you after the podcast.
Thank you. Let's not cover it in the podcast.
Live crimson reaction of the Suzume trailer.
We could go spontaneous, just get real wild, but give some structure.
Yeah.
Actually, that would be interesting. We could do maybe for the recap. Maybe that's a good thing to say for the recap.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of the new like DC and Marvel Universe trailers that's come out, so I'm totally down to get live reactions of me for that.
Oh, we all pick a trailer for us to watch live.
Well, I mean, you could show me like because I haven't seen the. Oh, we'll save this conversation for the recap. I like this conversation.
You know what?
Let's get back to topic.
People listening, put us down in the comments. Like, if you're interested, if that sounds like a good idea, which trailer you want us to live react.
Yeah.
Actually, by the time this comes, it's gonna be tight. We might get that in the window of the recap.
The new Doomsday trailer by the time this would come out.
You know what? So, Trat, let's pretend I haven't seen it.
Like no, I mean by the time this comes out, there'll be another Doomsday trailer.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, we got our teaser, and then we're gonna get our full one soon enough.
Oh, we had 4 teasers.
That's also true.
Anyhow, this film, Suzume, I'll go back to animation. Going back to even further in the beginning, I started originally. I mentioned that they use CG in this. They definitely do. Some are better integrated than others. I think the worst CG asset, 3D asset, is probably the worm. Still looks okay. When it's the physical worm, not just like the cloud stuff.
Yeah, the one that formed like the giant chaotic circle around Tokyo, above Tokyo. Is what I'm referring to. Yeah.
But in the opening, when she's going through the fields, in the foreground you get CGI plants, which look pretty good. They almost look drawn. They almost look 2D. But there were a couple grass blades, I guess, grades of blades of grass. Jeez Louise. Anyways, that were clipping. They clipped through each other. So just a little animation nitpick.
Interesting. And you couldn't say that was a stylized choice. for them to
Have
give depth.
clipping 3D assets? Usually not a choice, especially something so
You know
artistically
what?
driven.
You know what? I'm going to just agree because I realized how that could backfire onto me. Got it.
All right. That was the only clipping I saw in this, to be fair, was just the beginning here.
Okay. Sorry. Last time I talked about something that clipped in a movie. I really didn't like the movie.
Oh.
You know
I'll
what
go
I'm
next.
hinting at, right?
No.
Oh, dread.
Which one?
I was talking about when the shirt goes through the ground in Mars Needs Moms.
Oh, Mars Needs Moms, yeah. Immediately when you said that, it clicked.
Anywho, Ryder, you were going to go somewhere.
Yeah, I've been holding on to this point for like 25 minutes now.
Oh, that one! Yes! Sorry.
Yeah,
Man,
no.
popcorn's crazy.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to interrupt what were very nice tangents in this movie. I'm going to actually dive into, I think, it's going to be a bit of an overarching one. I actually don't mind the fact that the two main characters run into each other on just by pure happenstance, because as has been established, I guess in the trilogy, fate is a thing in this universe, so I don't really have that much of an issue with this particular convenience to move the story along. That being said, there are a lot of conveniences in this movie. I think
What are the
enough
odds the ant found her at that
just
one
in Tokyo.
place?
in the
Yeah.
What are
heart
the
of
odds?
Tokyo.
Where
there's
the friend. Oh,
Well,
I will preface this with my notes. I'm going to be inconsistent with names. Sometimes I'm going to say cat. Sometimes I'm going to say
Daijin.
Daijin.
I'm like, which cat?
I'm I'm going to hop all over the place. The friend. I didn't even write his name. I'm just going to write friend. So
Serizawa.
and the ant. I wrote her name down, but I'll probably most likely just call her Ant. So
Tamaki.
just so it's out there.
I also have her mostly down in my notes on, so that's not too bad. But I do Tamaki is her name. But yeah, so my overarching thing with this film is I think they lean a little bit too hard into the convenience to move the plot along. She runs into the person that is most likely to help her all the time, which is, to clarify, I guess, I see this as an objective issue. However, there's a part of me that subjectively enjoys the feeling of a tight knit community where everybody still goes out of their way to help out each other, which is kind of the vibe this movie gives off for a lot of the helpers that come out to help Suzume, or give her a place to stay the night and stuff like that. So I get a lot of subjective enjoyment in that because I find it very sweet and like an idealistic version of a better world kind of thing. But I recognize that there is a lot of convenience in the film. So while I am okay with how the two main characters run into each other here at the beginning, because of the whole, again, there's fate that's been priorly established in this universe. I think that if that is their intention with the rest of the conveniences, I think they overplayed their hand.
If you had the cat more directly involved with setting her on these paths, I think it would be a bit more forgiving. Like if the cat knocked over the box of oranges or tangerines or whatever we said it would be, to be like, okay, here's an opportunity to get a ride. Something like that where it's getting set up. But that was just something that happened out of the blue.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, I think if the cat was more curating these events, it'd be a bit more forgivable.
I think it would also add more strength to the end as well. Like the Daijin's not toying with her; she's showing them Daijin's showing them the way, which I like the. So yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement. I think the cat directly or Daijin directly toying with and setting up events to progress them along in their journey, I think would help with the I guess the amount of conveniences that are here present in the film.
I might be looking way too much into it, possibly, but also don't think it's a Japanese thing. But the yin yang symbol is a balance, a visual aid of balance, and that there in the light there's always like a little bit of darkness, and then like in the darkness there's a little bit of light. Is uh, Daijin and Sadajin the overall dark side of Sadajin being like the bigger, full black cat, and Daijin's the small little white dot to signify some kind of like luck system onto the interactions with Suzume and Soda and their adventure.
I can see the symbolism of it because they have a visual distinction, but I'm hesitant to make that more than just like potential drawn symbolism, bring it into subtext or text, because I don't know if there's enough in the film that would support the theory directly that they're yin and yang. The closest I could think of, right, is Daijin's being super helpful in their own chaotic way. At least that's what the film is trying to tell you. And then but the problem with the introduction to the other one, it happens in a very, very cruel and auspicious manner, but no more nefarious deeds necessarily come out of it. So if they are playing yin and yang opposites, I think they would need to have leaned into that a little bit more. Like maybe they have different skills. So Daijin's talkative and this one's not, that sort of thing. But I don't think the film leans hard enough into that into the artistic style that's present for me to buy fully into that they're a fully yin and yang. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because I saw it as like, Daijin is very chaotic in nature and essentially kills Soda or curses Soda to die just to make Suzume a friend. But then it comes off of like Daijin just wanted to be loved or cared for by someone. But the thing with Sadajin that I saw was when Sadajin went into the Ever After and transformed, it wasn't just like a big Sadajin. It transformed into like a huge white cat wolf thing to fight, which I thought like maybe that's the visual aid side of the big white end of the yin yang. So like fully white to take on the big bad worm. And when Daijin gets depressed or sad and the darkness takes over, like when Suzume lifts Daijin over her head and says like, "Go away, I hate." Daijin turns to that gray, that darkness, which could be the small black dot, because the sadness has taken over, the dark has taken over. When the white is being playful and trying to have fun, and being the light in all the dark going on. So I just more examples into it, but I didn't know if it fully was connected, if that's some kind of subconscious thing written in or anything. I just saw like the changes of choice in the film of those two examples, since Sadajin and Daijin are the two keystones connected to hold the Ever After closed.
Before you give your thoughts, Crimson, I will inject one more thing. Their names, Sadajin and Daijin, literally mean Minister of Left and Minister of Right, because the two keyholes for the left of Japan and the right
East
of
and
Japan.
West.
Yeah, East and West.
So I mean, I guess it's possible you could read it that way. I think purely for what was it, Sadajin, whatever, the black cat, when it grew to the big white one, I think that's purely an artistic visual decision, because the Ever After is so dark, and if you had just a giant black cat in the darkness, you're gonna lose a lot in the visual department. Foreground and background. Like when they're in the background fighting, if it was just the black cat and then the dark red and black worm, it would kind of be a visual mess. So I think it was an artistic choice to make it stand out against the worm and the background of the environment.
Okay, that very well could be it.
And on the topic of the black cat, I don't like its integration in this at all. It I felt like it came out of nowhere and didn't contribute to our characters. I felt like it was there just to stall the boss fight. I don't fully understand how it got there. It seemed to have had some connection to the grandpa, but I don't know. We'll get to it, I'm sure, because that's way later in
Okay.
the film.
Yeah,
But
that is one of the questions I had with it.
it's one of my glaring complaints, I guess, or potential damage for the film. We'll get there when we get there.
I like, I guess from early on, I like the whole connection as to why Suzume can see the ever after through the doors, and also the reason why she can't traverse it, because that is explained. But I like that mystery start for us, the audience, and I guess onto herself, why she can see it and why she can't go through it.
Can you explain it just to see if we're on the same page?
Okay, I think she can see it because she's been there before, which is traversal looking for her mom. And the reason why she can't go through it is because it's linked to the first door she went through, which I think was brought up by Daijin. Or someone brought up that you have to go through the grandfather brought up you have to go through your like welcome gate, like the first instance to go through, which is why she went all the way back to her old house to go through that door. Because as a little girl, that's the one she went through.
Yeah, so I guess my understanding of it didn't make sense to me, which is why I had you clarify, because maybe you would make more sense of it than what I understand it to be. Because I found it contradictory. It's like you gotta find the only way in is to go in the way you went in before. But how could you have gone in the first time? Because there would be no time before that.
What? Yeah, I guess that is the question. What sparked her the ability to go in when no one else like?
Which he
Well,
said was impossible. Which is, I think the part. I think this is on the damage ladder, unless I'm completely misunderstanding it. The only way you can enter is if you enter the way you entered before, but they don't explain how she was able to enter the first time, which is impossible, as he stated.
only possibility I have, which Crimson, I can see you making it very, very dumb, and we'll get writers' thoughts on this, is the Ever After is not connected to linear time. It's its own space of time. That's why there's two of her in it. And the reason for it being able for her to be there, which I guess in reason would also mean the same would have to apply to Soda somehow, is that you can only been there if you've been there before, and the young Suzume is in there because her older self is also in there. So there's two instances of her being in there in time of her own life, at least two in the movie that we see, and that allows her to go there.
But one of those versions would have to have been the first, which
Which is the
then would
whole
have meant the same thing.
time thing, yeah. The enter point of young Suzume entering, her older self is already connected to going in there later in her future, and the Ever After has no time, which is why they both exist in there at the same point. Unless
Let's get
I'm completely wrong, but
let's get writers' thoughts on this.
So, from my understanding of the rule of the door, right? And this is kind of it's not necessarily a trope that's come up in Magic before. But the idea that like if you have accidentally stepped through a gateway, a doorway into another world, that particular like way is the only way you can get back in, but then you could still perceive things that come out of it. I think I'm okay with that generally. Um, as far as a rule, I don't know how or why she ended up in the first one. If we're gonna say like if we're gonna ignore the fact that everything in the Ever After existed at the same time for like the sake of like just going in a chronological order of her life, I think her stepping in there first as a kid, whether it be on accident or choice or she got lost because she was avoiding a disaster that hit her town, I'm not entirely sure. Um, it's kind of left ambiguous as to how she ended up in there her for the first time. Um, and I think that right there might be where, if this does end up on the downside, that might be where I would pick up my choice, I guess, for where damage could potentially be ensued, because her going in the first time then sets the rule for her being able to go back through from the same place. So there is that aspect to the character. Now, for as to why they can coexist at the same time, and going with what Sprinks is saying, I think that's another potentially valid interpretation of the rule. So, like, if you have already been in there, well, no, actually, I would disagree with that, because the older version of herself would have to come in after her younger self, because
Our side.
on our side, I guess. So it's interesting.
It's
I don't know.
paradoxical because the only reason she's there is because she saw herself there before.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is paradoxical. I don't know if that necessarily means it contradicts the rule, though.
On my damage ladder, I have this as a nitpick because it's not fully explained, but I can find an interpretation for it to work.
That's kind of where I'm at, and I'm usually I know Crimson and I've had our back and forth over soft and hardcore magic systems before. I think I'm leaning towards this being a nitpick for myself as well, because I think an explanation as to why it works this way would go a long way into help kind of flushing out I guess, the rule that we can ascribe to it. There are interpretations of the rule that explain it, but because we're not sure which one, I am I think that's where the damage inherently is for me.
All right. I guess for myself, I'll give two different damages to it. If it is inconsistent with the rules we have established, like you can only enter if you enter through the place you've entered the first time, and not explain how she entered the first time, I find that as a flaw because it's so pivotal to the movie that she's able to get back there. Uh, if we're going with the mumbo jumbo, like timey-wimey stuff, I find it as an issue because the film needs to elaborate that further.
Well, there's certainly timey-wimey stuff. She sees her younger self.
Yes, but using that as a reason to, like, well, she was there the first time because at the same time they're there. She would have already been there. But then flipping it where that version would have seen the other one. So that's the timey-wimey stuff. If we're going with that route, the Sprinks theory, I have that as an issue because the film fails to deliver that as the reason why. They gave a different reason. So either way, I view this as high damage, whichever route it may be.
What was your first one again? I'm so sorry.
The first one is if it's completely inconsistent with itself. You can only enter back to the place you entered first without establishing how she was able to enter the first time.
If it's like it probably explains it better, but like the Shazam world, like how Billy Battinson gets on the train and goes to where Shazam is, like just randomly, accidentally walks in there, like there's no cause or reason or anything, like that kind of accidental thing.
I haven't seen Shazam,
or
really know anything about Shazam, but
okay.
From what you're describing, if it's like happenstance,
random happenstance,
I would almost take that because even in this film, I don't think they even frame it as happenstance either. It's just something that happens.
Well, I guess just to clarify how I saw it, I don't know if it's differently for the two of you. Is it how it went? Is Suzume and her mom got hit by like a blizzard, and Suzume lost her mom in a blizzard, which probably killed her. And while looking for her mom, stumbled upon the door looking for her and entered the ever after.
That's kind of how I interpret it, but I'm not sure. So I understand Crimson's point of like, if it is the former rules that we're going to apply to this, like it's not. Let's say the rules aren't inconsistent with themselves, but we then need to have it established how she ended up in there in the first place. That would
Yeah.
clarify the rule set.
It
That
would
is
be
kind of
cool
what's
if her mom
missing.
was a closer and died before telling her,
I actually thought that's where it was going to go.
and
Yeah,
that's like a connection. But
funny enough, I also had that theory, but obviously it doesn't go anywhere. It's not confirmed.
no, there's nothing of that talking point, or the grandfather recognizing anything about her, or Soda bringing up something of like other he says there's other closers, but it sounds like just his family and ancestor, and Soda and Suzume aren't related or ever explained to be related, other than the joke that it's like, oh, I'm like a sister to him because we're cousins, but that's a total made up lie. So
Yeah, I also don't even know how, if we're going in chronological order, little Suzume could even see the door, like on the Ever After.
well, she just entered a door and stumbled into the ever after. She
Right.
didn't open it and
How
like
does
pause
that?
and wait, and that's the big question. How did that door activate for her to go in? Well, not, I guess, just activate, because it seems like
Become
there's a ton
visual
of
for her.
doors. Yeah, how did she step through it rather than older her seeing it and walking right through it like it's a veil?
I have a symbolic guess, but that's mostly meta talk and not really literal with any part of the text of the story. Um, the whole movie, as has been described, I think by the director and a lot of fans for it, the symbolism of this movie is getting over past trauma. So the worms are kind of like an externalized version of that. So it might be the trauma that triggered the door, but again, that has no basis within the film itself. It's purely just for the meta conversation.
Could it also be of loneliness is what draws someone into the ever afters, since what helps close it is community? And
Could
Soda
be.
says, like,
I,
remember
I
those who
can
were
buy that. I
here.
can
So
buy that more into like that's fun meta stuff to talk about. But again, that's not literally in the film.
yes, it's
But
not in
it
the
is.
film. I'm just thinking like young girl lost looking for her mom, feeling as lonely as possible is what drew
Yeah,
her to enter it.
it's definitely a possibility. I can see that as an interpretation. I don't think I could commit enough to the what we have.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
if
think
we
we've
go
said like
the,
4 different theories. The movie hasn't
Yeah,
clarified any of them
and
to be
that's
the
why it's
one.
damaged to me because
yeah.
I, this is so important that it should be a little bit more
It
defined.
is, but what I think all the 4, I'm just spitballing 4. I don't know how many we've actually brought up, but they all seem feasible in their way. They all could be it.
If we're going with the, like, she's emotional, she's lonely, and that granted her access or some special treatment towards it, that's probably my least favorite of the options we've provided because that doesn't
Each
make her unique. Because
Well, I don't think we've
anybody
done
could
other
open the
options.
darn
yeah
door.
yeah. So
What was
like I
the
said,
other option? That she's a closer in her blood?
her mother was a closer, so it's
I would
inherited.
prefer if it
Yeah.
was an inheritance thing. Yeah. Because if anybody that's super sad opens a door and sees another world, then I think this world would be drastically different than what we see.
Okay, because the
Closures would
only
be
connection I have to
common.
that
People would know about
is
stuff.
when little Suzume leaves, she turns around and sees her older self and Soda there. So Soda's in the ever after. There's got to be a reason for the being of Suzume being in there. Same has to apply to Soda. So if it's a closure thing, makes sense. But if somewhere Soda has another timeline version of him somewhere in there at a point for him to be in there, I, it could be one of those two, or a third that I don't know.
Okay, yeah, this magic system, it's getting worse and worse the more we talk about it to me.
Yeah, like I said, I don't really have. I'm not going to ascribe any large issues to it, but I do think the fact that we are not, the one thing we can all agree on is the fact that we're not certain about how this particular thing works, because it's a huge driving force in the film. In of itself is a highlight that there is something wrong with this particular aspect of the
Yes.
film.
My big hit which is the nitpick reason for me, is how did Suzume enter the Ever After? That's my question. In the Ever After, all the stuff in there, I just think time doesn't work normally. That's why it's all ruin, and then you have it goes from like ruin, and then it goes to like nice plains of like grass and flowers, and you have old version, young version coexisting, same point. I just think time doesn't apply in that world.
To some degree, yeah.
Yeah, that's why my rack timestamp that I had, that I shared with the two of you, felt very much like Prisoner of Azkaban, where Harry thinks it's his dad, where young Suzume thought it was her mom, but no, it's just them.
There's a bit of that there, yeah.
Okay, well, I guess since we're still on the magic topic, I'll bring up a different branch of the magic, and that's the keystones.
Okay.
Since Sprinks, I asked you about how the portals worked first. Ryder, this time I'll ask you, how do the keystones operate?
I okay. You mean like when they're like locked into the ground?
How are they sealing it? How is someone chosen to be a keystone? Is there a choice in that matter? Just everything keystone.
Okay. The literal thing of what they do is they clearly locks to the other world. So the chaotic stuff doesn't really happen until Suzume pulls out the keystone, which is obviously half of Japan, which starts causing all the havoc. I think the reason the second cat shows up is because the second keystone was since the monster already escaped through like the leaked half or whatever. That particular cat had no reason to stay as a keystone and needed to be more active in order to solve the problem.
That if that's the case, that's
I
on the
disagree
My
with
Damn
that.
Platter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
like I said, that's
Because
the
the white cat had to be released. It couldn't just leave.
Yeah.
yeah.
If
I
Sodajin could just release itself as a keystone, that would apply to Soda. The keystone could just release
So
himself whenever he
to
wanted.
give a metaphor as to how I understand how it works, and this is definitely me writing for the writers. It's like you have a nail that's half in the wall and you just rip it out. Like when the worm fully got out and covered all of Tokyo's sky, that kind of ripped out quote unquote the remaining keystone. That's how I interpret what happened, but I am not 100% sure of that because obviously I don't really see the second keystone and whether it was a keystone at a certain point. We only see the cat form for the second keystone. But you are right that Daijin had to be released. So I and to be clear as well, where I personally stand on all this is I do think the keystones needed more explanation. I'm treat their characters more like whimsical gods, like from the Greek pantheon, and that sort of like way they're whimsical, they're cruel, they're very flawed beings. But that's me like projecting an explanation onto how I think they operate because they're also not very clear with how and what the cats are. The only thing we know is that they're keystones, and if they're both in place, they'll solve the breaches into our world.
All right, and
Okay.
Sprinks, your take on keystones?
So I saw the two keystones as being the focal point of the far left and right, which I guess goes into their namesake. And upon Daijin being removed, which my best guess is that doorway, the first one we see, is the farthest to the west of Japan. And the two keystones are placed in that to keep the worm at bay and the ever after at bay from the tail end to the head. Because I believe when the one in Tokyo is released, Soda says like the head has been released. So I saw it as when Daijin was released and running to cause chaos to get to Tokyo, that gave me the best interpretation that Daijin was the one to awaken Sadajin from its keystone place, because that's what happened with Suzume picking up Daijin to begin with, was releasing that keystone for it to become sentient. I think that's the same that occurred on the other end, because that same thing happens with Soda in the Ever After when Suzume gets up to the chair of Soda and releases him from his form. So I think Daijin released Sadajin in Tokyo, and I think every door leading up to Tokyo was the tail end of the worm breaking through a door to cause an earthquake, to cause disaster, because that's what the worm's designed to do, is to destroy the earth, to get its full form into the earth to destroy it. And the tail end is just half of that trying to release. So as it got closer, the tail end got closer, which built more. I don't know if there's like a pressure to it, because the Tokyo one, I guess, was the head as being the far east. So that's why the full thing came out. But I think that was because Daijin released Sadajin as being the east end keystone for the whole worm to be released out, or as much as it could.
Which cat was at the grandpa's place?
That was Sadajin.
Sadajin.
But I think the
Oh.
grandfather, being a closer for years, could have been a keeper of going through Japan of all the doors to, being a closer, checking them, and knowing both keystones. For all we know, the grandfather was the one that put Sodajin to be the keystone before whatever Sodajin's keystone before that was, since Daijin wanted Soda to be the replacement for Daijin.
So what do you guys think the reason is that both the cat's keystones were in the human world? Meanwhile, Soda's, it sounds like I'm saying soda. Sota's was in the Ever After. Why wasn't it in the human world? Because it'd be too easy to save him? What's the plot reason?
The plot reason is, it would be too easy to save him. That's an inconsistency. I agree.
I'll put that as a nick. I don't know what caused Soda's keystone to go to the Ever After versus being where Sadajin was placed in Tokyo beforehand. Unless Sadajin really is the keystone in the Ever After, and that's where Sadajin was. So when Daijin got to Tokyo, went through and released Sadajin. So one's in our world and one's in that world.
It could be that. The only other explanation
Well, the grandpa wouldn't have seen the other cat if it was in the Ever After.
No. Sadajin came into our world upon being released to go see the grandfather. The grandfather, being a closer, could have gone through and put Sadajin there.
Could have gone through the Ever After, the thing he said it was impossible to do?
Well, maybe it was someone else.
Okay, so I think
I don't know. I know
this is
history.
This is far from a nitpick for me, because this is huge plot.
Yeah. So the only reason that I can think of that Sota ended up in the Ever After as a keystone is because when he was stabbed into the worm vanished along with him back into the Ever After. That is the only reason I can think of as to why that is. I don't have any other reasonable explanation, though, because I'm kind of in agreement with Crimson. This is very much for the plot to keep it going.
We never see where Sadajin's keystone placement is, right?
We never see his keystone form.
Yeah, we never see his keystone form. We
Except when he's used to jab at the end of the worm.
Well, yeah, my best interpretation is then that is a placement in the Ever After for Sadajin's keystone.
How come you can just assume that when we see that White Cats is in the real world? Why wouldn't you associate? They're both in the real world.
The only two worlds we know of here are the Ever After in our world, or I guess the world. I don't even know if it's our world. Earth, essentially. And two keystone holds of the doors only in Japan, because it's not a worldwide thing, at least I don't think so. One is to hold it on one side, and one is to hold it on the other side. And it's on both endpoints from farthest east and west. So it's not necessarily just keeping something at bay on one side of a door from entering. It is on both sides to not only keep something from going in, but something to go out.
Yeah, that's writing for the writers. That's not stated.
It sure is, because we don't see Daijin go into the Ever After, wake up Sadajin to come out. We
Um,
just go a little earthquake, and Soda goes, "The head's been released." That's all we get.
what we do have is when um, White Cat was it
Daijin.
Daijin? Daijin?
Daijin.
Daijin. When Daijin was released, you had Sota start turning into the Keystone, and that's before the Black Cat is released. So he's now treated as the replacement.
Yes, because Daijin cursed Soda to be the
Yeah.
next
So
Keystone.
he would be the Outworld Keystone if we're going with your there's one in each theory.
If it stated, I don't know if it stated that a keystone has to be placed in either or. It's just a keystone is a keystone. I I I think Soda was completely transformed into one when going full frozen form and became a keystone entirely from that. And seeing that in the ever after, that's where Soda was placed. That is where a keystone is placed. And my assumption is that is where Sadajin was then, prior. Because we don't see the East End Tokyo keystone hold in the real world if there is one.
I guess, Ryder, any additional thoughts on Keystones that we've brought up?
The only addition I have is that we know for sure that a keystone was based in Tokyo, or at least Tokyo's area, or near Tokyo's gate, based on the information that we get from Soda.
Would have been Sadajin.
Yeah, it would have been Sadajin, yes.
So I'm hurling a problem at this. The whole movie would be different if we had Sota just fall from the sky and land on the ground instead of getting transported to the ever after.
As a keystone chair, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the only keystone we ever see outside of Sota is Daijin. Daijin was in the overworld. So that is where my head place is going.
I'm not at a problem, but I am at a flaw, because I think this is purely just to keep the plot going in a particular direction, and I also think this could have been easily explained. And we have theories as to what's going on, again, but movie heavily relies on this particular aspect.
I have it as a Nick. I think the possible one thing, if it is what they're going for, is to just animate a single shot of Daijin jumping through into the ever after, where the Tokyo worm's coming out of. Just have Daijin jump into that.
It would lend a bit more in your direction, your theory, yeah.
Yes.
That would improve that.
I think that would answer that Daijin goes into the ever after to release Sadajin, which Soda could feel upon the earthquake that the head's released.
Well, we know they can move in and out. We know they can move in and out freely. I mean, we see
but something released Sadajin, which we don't know what did it.
Why?
And your first reason, Ryder, I don't agree with that. Sadajin just determined to transform themselves.
Yeah, no. The only reason I would say he transformed is because he was pulled out. Essentially, my nail analogy is why I think he transformed. It's me writing for the writers. I got nothing. That's just guesswork. I have to assume that's what happened, or Daijin released him. Those are pretty much the only explanations I can think of as to why Sadajin was suddenly able to run around as a cat.
Can't wait for one comment to just explain everything.
I'll take it.
It'd be pretty nice, actually.
if one of you has a clearly defined, reasonable explanation, I'll take it.
Well, you say clearly defined. I feel like it's going to be 5 paragraphs, but
well, that would be clear. I can read 5 paragraphs.
You know what? So can I.
I don't know.
You got me
it's
there.
Too much for me.
Okay.
That's just a joke. I write for a hobby.
A question.
Well, that was a very long one from me.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
A question I can point out. Suzume from a child entered the ever after, which explains her reason to be able to see things. Is her stepping into the first door we see in like the bath town reawaking her connection to the ever after, which is why then she can see the smoke from school? Because I question why, after 12 years of being with her aunt, she's never seen the smoke like that. Unless I guess Soda is just so good that he gets there in time, but nothing distracted him from doing it this time.
Well, that's the
Well, it
thing,
would have
right?
been the
I don't.
grandpa before. Like Soda's relatively new to this. We don't get a time frame of
Oh, I
how
suppose
long
so,
he's been
yeah.
doing it, but we do know the grandpa's been active for years.
So there's two interpretations of this, right? There's the interpretation that Suzume is the reason the worms can escape at all because she pulled out a keystone. The second is that Soda was already going there because something was wrong. I think
Soda was going there just to check all the doors as close does.
yeah, I feel like he was just going to make sure everything was still working as it's intended.
Actually,
At least that's how I interpret it.
that's the answer. No, that you're right. That's a good answer. She pulled out the keystone of Daijin.
Yeah. So that's why the worm can come through, and then that's because she's already interacted with the ever after. She interacted with the ever after before she pulled the keystone out, and that's why we see the ever after as like this beautiful, gorgeous thing, compared to what we see later on in the film, and that lends credence to, I think, why she could see it. Because she directly interacted with it in a way, and she's already interacted with it before, and that's why she can see the smoke now. But I find this somewhat contradictory because I can't explain why she doesn't see the worm, if it was a worm that caused the earthquake in the car later on in the film. So, like I said, maybe the worms cause a lot of natural disasters, but they don't cause all of them. But I'm not 100% sure.
I've got a question that has no answer. Kind of just however you guys feel about it. Are there other worms on other continents or countries? Because this is just localized at Japan, from what we can tell.
Don't know.
In this
I don't
world,
know if
I'm
this
gonna go
is
with
global.
yes.
All right.
I can believe that in this world that each continent has its own version of a closer.
I kind of want to say no to that theory, because if so, and the Japanese keystone has been removed by Suzume, which is releasing worms on Sota's part, and maybe Sota doesn't know, but I feel like the knowing of the ever after worm being released would, I guess, news just doesn't travel, and like every other continent is just still doing their closers, checking all the doors, because
Well, everyone would just
I
go,
don't.
"Oh, Japan had another earthquake," and then once it starts like happening repeated, like, "Oh, there were 3 earthquakes in 3 days," then maybe a closer might take another look. It's like, something's wrong with the Japan gate, that sort of thing. But again, this is me like guessing at world building. I
Yeah,
would
I don't want to apply
assume.
it because I don't want to be like, oh, they're on a flight, the Canadian and the one in Africa and the one in South America, they're all flying out to Japan to check out what's happening with the gates because the Japanese closer has failed to do their part or something. But I also don't want to be like every continent has its own ever after, and Japan only has like this realm to protect, and the US has their realm to protect, and Europe has their. I feel like if there are other doors all around the world, they would all be connected to the ever after.
Yeah, then that's kind of where I would say they could all be connected to the ever after. They don't necessarily have their own ever after, but they all have their like own version of worms that are contained. Or maybe it's the same worm that's contained everywhere. It's one of those things like I can buy in this world that the worms aren't necessarily contained in Japan, but it's not relevant to the story. So
I can. Yeah, my big answer is I don't know. It could be something like with whatever caused the first door to ever be made in the gateway to the Ever After was in here in Japan, and that was replicated as like a doorway portal or something all across, and that caused the worm to be awoken from its ancestral eternal slumber or whatever, which is then leaded to protection, and that's why it didn't go global. I don't know. I don't know the world background. It was all probably in Soda's books of literature over the past of all the ancestors about the worm, but again, that all seemed to be, I mean, it was all in Japanese, but I don't think any part of that depicted in the film was global.
Yeah, we don't really get a hint to the outside world in this. And Sprinks, just so I have an answer, was there any definitive connections to this to the other films? You said obviously no one saw any crossover characters, but was there any in your fact
Not that I
finding that's
found.
like there was a newspaper that referenced the meteor or something?
Not that I found. No.
Okay.
Again, I don't know when this takes place. I don't know if this movie is before the other two movies. I don't know if it's in between them. I don't know if it's 15 years after them. I don't know. Best I
So it's
have is that it's in the same world.
so it's like I said, it's not like Hot Fuzz because that's not in the same world. So it's just tied to the like direct creator then, like a pseudo trilogy.
Not just
no,
character,
Weathering
it's
with You
in
again
world.
directly has characters in it from the previous film, so
This one I'm talking about. This one
This is still
doesn't
in
seem to
world.
be connected to anything. Based on exterior references, people said that.
That's stated. These three movies are all the same world.
The movies don't say that. I'm saying within the movies, this has no connections to anything.
Within the movie, we see no.
Within
I
Suzume,
don't
I
think
agree
so.
with what you're saying, Crimson. I agree with what you're saying. It's not directly connected to your name because it's not directly. There's no direct evidence that it is. So
No
we can assume it
characters,
is,
no world events,
but
no.
we can't
Yeah.
really, yeah.
Well, no, not just assumption. It's just not shown.
Yeah, like I
Stuff.
said, we can
We don't-
assume it, but we don't have no evidence to back it up.
No, again, not assumption. It's stated that this is the same worlds.
There's
We
no
just don't
evidence
know.
in the movie.
No, again, not in the movie writer, but from the director, these are the same worlds. We
Yes,
just don't know if the meteor's hit yet in Suzume, but it's still the world where the meteor hits from your name.
This is going to get into death of the author territory if I go any further.
That's what I was saying. It's starting to sound like Death of the Author.
Yeah, so like this is, I can, until proven otherwise, I think it's better to assume this is not a part of the world, regardless of what the director says. But that's, I guess it's just how we interpret art. I guess because there's no evidence here that this is a
like
part of the world.
Fantastic Beasts to me. I don't need Harry Potter in the movie to know this is a connected world.
Well, I would need
Sprinks, if you were never told this was connected, you would never have known.
From a standalone point of just watching this one, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, well, and so I don't know, the Fantastic Beasts ones, like they have the same laws of magic that apply. They're still doing
They have
the same
character
visual stuff.
crossovers. There's a lot more connecting Fantastic Beasts and Harry Potter.
Of later films, yeah.
All this is
Dumbledore's not in the first one.
Yeah, all this to say is
Grindelwald is.
Yeah, but Grindelwald's not in Harry Potter.
He's in the last movie in a flashback.
Yeah.
And name dropped. So yeah. Okay, but we're taking a tangent. I've talked a lot on this.
I'm just giving an example. If you individually to hold weight of the connection of the previous two movies to this one, you can establish to your own objective scaling. That's completely fair and valid, I think.
Yeah. And I could throw out more points, but I feel like I've been throwing out a lot of points.
Okay, well, Crimson, let's not go to you. Let's go to writer.
All right, I'll do a simple one since we haven't really had any simple ones so far.
Are you sure?
Well, this might turn into a 3-hour tangent. We'll see. I uh, quite like the quiet life of Suzume. We get like, and we are introduced to her aunt very, very briefly after like she dreams about the ever after. So we know that her aunt is there, and we see her again when she goes off to chase the chair and Daijin. Um, when her aunt shows up, it's a nice little subtle thing because the aunt is not really a character at the forefront of the film, but I like that she came home from work to check on Suzume.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of been put into her life to look over Suzume.
Yeah.
And like that is a whole new thing. I mean, I guess for anyone to take on guardianship of a child, you're not. It wasn't planned. You didn't have 9 months of a child, being made for with you and being scheduled out and everything. This is like a drop right into your lap, right into your life.
Yeah, and from her aunt's perspective is that, oh my god, my sister's dead. What happened to her kid?
Yeah. And this is not applying Sadajin's possession over Tamaki. Because that's its own thing. I don't know exactly when. I think that whole interaction was Sadajin. Yeah, I don't think like halfway through Sadajin like took over possession. I think that was all Sadajin just prying Suzume.
Was it possession or like suggestion? Because she kind of owned up that she felt those things, just not all the time.
No, I think Sadajin took that within Tamaki's mind and output it through her.
Yeah, just hyper fixated on the negative emotions. Yeah. It's kind of what that scene implied to me. I mean, I keep going here and just talk about Tamaki's character in general, if you guys want, but...
Yeah, is she removable?
No. No. You know who? Well,
if anyone in this movie is removable, it might be Minoru.
Is that the friend?
That's Tamaki's friend.
Oh, the stalker one.
Yeah, the stalker friend.
Work friend.
I would say as well that he's. I wouldn't say he's a stalker, but I would say that he's probably the most removable character.
He's concerned. I don't know if he's obsessive. He's a concerned coworker.
He has a crush on her. That's pretty much the base knowledge that we have to go on here. So he's concerned. That feeds into what we know about him. But he is probably the most removable character.
Yes, that's where I'm like, I don't know what he adds, really, other than Himaki's been single this whole time and he's an interest, but she's not leaning into that being a possibility. She kind of goes more into Sorizawa, I guess, with the whole driving bit. But
there was definitely more of a spark there.
So, I'll go to a little thing. I don't know how little this will be. So Suzume is the only one who can see the worm, I guess, other than Soda or closers. And the first worm, is growing as she's trying to get back to the door. It shows people in the town, like, not acknowledging the worm, not seeing it, which was very much reminded me of a very similar life experience Crimson and I both experienced, like, a week ago, where we saw a lightning storm happening, and there were about 50 people around us not acknowledging.
A bunch of NPCs.
Yeah.
Everyone's living their NPC life. God, I hate when that happens.
There was a lightning storm and thunder we could hear. No one cared.
Yeah,
no one turned around to take photos. No one. They just continued on.
It's one of those things where, like, yeah, this is definitely a simulation today, huh?
It certainly felt like it, and then we came back to check 5 minutes later, and everyone was gone. Just poof.
Poof.
Anyway, that's a story for another time. But something to point out, the worm is still casting shadows. It's like blocking out parts of the sun. I don't know if that's a damage ladder thing, if the shadow is... I don't know why the shadow is animated in, if no one notices the shadow's doing something. Because they do notice later... We do, but they notice later that Suzume like grabs the worm and flies away, even though they don't see the worm. So like
I'm saying we, the audience, have ever after vision. We see the worm, and I think we see the shadow. I don't think the shadow's there. I think we see the shadow.
So this
I
is
see.
like, sorry,
That could
spoilers
work.
for hoppers, but this is like the eye thing they do.
Yeah, I think that's an
Okay.
apt comparison. Viewer vision.
Yeah,
Viewer vision.
Ooh, I like that. That's a pod thing.
That's going into the book. It's going down in the book.
Yeah.
We'll see how applicable it is, how often it comes up.
Viewer vision sounds a lot cooler than what we, the audience, see.
Yeah. Kind of sounds like a special theater format. Experience viewer vision.
So I'm now down the D-Box 4D viewer vision.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, that was just something I was questioning.
Mm-hmm.
But I suppose that does apply then, if it's just like for us in viewer vision.
Viewer vision.
Is there?
Go ahead.
Is there a reason Daijin like posts for all the photos on social media, like poses? Because there's a photo of him like wearing the conductor hat for a train station, or like
Daijin gets a round of drinks at the karaoke bar. I think Daijin's just having a good time.
He's kind of cat-like, now that you mention it.
Yeah, Daijin's been a keystone for who knows how long, and is stretching his legs.
Yeah,
like
I said, I'm fine with that. I'm just like, is it just?
I think
it's a little exaggerated on how people view him, but it makes sense. He's guiding her still, Suzume, through the assistance of social media and just all that.
I have, what's the middle one? Issue in the damage ladder?
Issues middle, yeah.
Okay, I have an issue with Suzume seeing all that on her social media feed.
It depends on how viral it is, I guess.
Unless she is friends with all these people, that would not be on her whole timeline of all these social media accounts of like Twitter and Instagram and all these things.
Yeah, like maybe they all went viral, that sort of thing. Like because it kind of implied that way. I mean, Daijin shows up on the news like, oh, this cat is crossing the bridge.
Yes, but that's like the next day. Even with photos, you'll see some of that if it hits viral, but she'll still have her feed of whatever else she's interested in her algorithm. She's scrolling the whole time, just seeing photo after photo of Daijin.
I was surprised with how much.
I would have been okay. I would have been okay if we see her type in Daijin on her phone, and like that's the hashtag she's looking for.
Well, the name is prompted by the social media posts. I think the social media posts are the ones that give him the name Daijin, or is that Soda that calls him Daijin?
It's a post.
I see. So
that calls it.
She could have just been searching the trending hashtag and found him that way, and then just followed that particular hashtag.
She could have, but again, we don't see it, which really sucks because this is going over the whole big conversation we already had, where I said we don't see it, but it could happen that way. It could happen that way. You've knocked me down to it.
This also ties into like, man, this story is just being pushed forward by convenience, is what it is.
Not me in my own words.
We see a lot of real brands in this. That was kind of surprising.
Oh, McDonald's? Yeah.
McDonald's, Instagram, and Twitter.
Like to remind you that one of the characters like literally worked at McDonald's in Weathering with You.
Yeah, I was going to say McDonald's.
That's the connection! No, I don't
They got both at McDonald's.
That's the one she was at!
Is it the same one? Well, and Weathering with You was like in a city, like, street.
It was Tokyo, yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least a Tokyo equivalent kind of large city.
I guess a connection to the previous film is this one also had a title, which was a whole talk in Your Name, I believe, that Sprinks brought up. But it was more than just a title. It was like a mini trailer. Like it showed parts of the movie.
Oh, yes! Yeah. Oh, I'm like, I don't remember that. The last time we talked about titles was The Circle. But you're right. You're right. Your Name had a whole anime opening to it.
Yeah. with the title at the end. This one doesn't have a whole opening, but it does have
No, it has an
a
ending.
jingle and a title.
It does have
Yes,
an
but
ED.
this has a whole anime ending.
It does have an ED, yes.
Yeah.
What does ED stand
So
for?
I
don't know
kind
what
of
it
like
Ending. It just
this.
means ending.
Thank you.
So I kind of like this version of it's just the jingle and then the title and not a whole trailer.
Yeah. I
Makes
will
it feel
say
like a TV episode.
the opening of this movie feels like the trailer. It feels like the trailer was the opening for the movie, if that makes sense.
No, that's cool. That's a good hook.
Because the trailer song is the jingle, essentially.
Oh,
Well, I thought it was the same song that was in one of the other two movies.
No.
well, there's a
it's
song
definitely
from
not.
Weathering with You in this.
Yeah, but it is not. It is not the song. It is a song originally written for this movie.
Yes.
I've heard that song
Maybe,
somewhere.
maybe Crimson, you've seen the trailer before.
Yeah, I've played the song many times, so maybe
Maybe I know I've heard it. I guess.
I know I've heard the song when, well, I've seen the movie before, but I guess prior, the song that uh Serizawa first plays in the car ride, like the road trip song.
Holiday Road.
No, it's not that one. It's not that one.
Oh, whoops.
Boom, boom, boom. Well, yeah. I don't know whose point that was last, but I think Ryder and I said some few things in there. So, Crimson, how about you take it away?
Sure. I will bring up a line I thought was a little weak, to say the least. And that's when Sota was going through her room and organizing her books, um, and then comes across the chair, and he just out loud to himself says, "A relic from childhood." I'm like, what? Why are you saying that? This is so movie. This is so dumb. I don't like this at all. Her room's full of
Okay.
personal objects. He could say that about anything, but he grabs the relevant chair and out loud to himself says, a relic of childhood."
He could be
Oh,
mumbling to himself, but I think the delivery is the problem with that one.
this is something I don't have because that's not the line I read for
Yeah, what did
the
you
sub.
get?
Oh, translation
I think
difference.
he just says a child's chair.
That's very
That's
different than
what
the
he
English
said.
one.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
kid's chair.
Yeah, I
So-
wrote it down. It was
Yeah,
a relic
it's
from childhood.
yeah,
Was
it's,
Well,
the
that
line.
explains that they're trying to match English words to fit the mouth movements.
yeah, that's traditionally what they usually try to do. That's what dubbing is.
So they elongated
Yeah,
what it is.
I think what I would have changed is probably the delivery of it and still kept it long. It's like, huh, childhood chair, that sort of thing. Like just make it draw attention to it, but just make him confused, a little bit confused by its appearance and why it's there with a broken leg. It's functional,
I
but I
I think it would
agree.
just be simpler if he looks at it and it's like, oh, and just grabs it as a chair to sit while he's organizing the books. So he's
You know what?
acknowledging it,
No,
but
that,
it's
then,
not.
then
like,
his mouth
Crimson,
would
if you
open
watch
and
the
close.
snub, you'd like it more.
Though this would be sub or dub. I don't. He doesn't need to talk to himself about a chair in someone's room. He can just
That is
use
true.
it as a
He
chair.
doesn't. He doesn't need to say chair. But it is weird seeing a 16-year-old have a chair that's for a kid when there's no kid around.
Yeah, I'm fine with him commenting on the weirdness of it. I just wish the delivery was more him mumbling to himself.
I'm fine. We also don't get like an in the head monologue talk thing. Like no character has that. Like anything spoken is spoken aloud, which is fine. Either or of a movie is fine, but at least it's not like a classic Sprinks one-time use. Why is it only here for Tyson?
Classic. Well, I guess we did find a difference between the two versions we saw.
I'm sure there are a lot more,
There's probably more.
but we didn't watch them back to back, so I don't know. Now I'll save that for the summary. That's more summary question. I think Ryder, it's up your alley. Crimson, I don't know if it's up your alley, but man, chasing Daijin to the boat, that was some upbeat jazz. That music,
Yes.
it felt like it wasn't tonally different, but it was not what I was expecting.
It put a smile on my face. I'm like, oh, this is not a bad beat. I like this. But yes, it is very tonally different from a lot of the other music in the film.
It was fine.
Okay, that's yeah.
More of
I
an
think the music in this movie is really good.
I agree
Both
with
the
that.
soundtrack and the score.
I didn't really care for the soundtrack music, but I did like the score mostly. A lot of the car music I was not.
The first car song I think was my favorite, but they're fine. Question for you, Crimson. I have it here in my notes.
Okay.
Because what was it, the recap? I don't think it wasn't Golden Pond because we didn't hint it there. We hinted it somewhere. I think it was on the podcast, so I apologize if not. Ryder, did we say something about when we get to this, how Crimson's going to feel about the chair?
Oh yeah,
That was referenced in something.
We definitely referenced that. I think in yeah, I think we referenced that in something. I don't know when though.
Okay, it was somewhere. Crimson, how do you feel about Suzume thinking soda as the chair can eat?
Well, they made her dumb, but it's unprecedented, though. I mean, chairs don't talk, so maybe they can eat. I don't know. I wouldn't have given him food without asking, "Hey, can you eat?"
Like, do you feel hunger? Like,
yeah. I mean, I'd be asking questions. She did ask a question that doesn't get an answer, which I really would have liked, because I had it already in my notes as a question. How's he talking? She was asking to see where to kiss him. Meanwhile, I'm
Magic.
like, how is he talking?
Magic.
Because they at least
It's the
established
same-
where his eyes are. So, okay, he's got eyes. He can see through those slits. How can he talk?
I think it's the same with Daijin. Daijin's talking without moving their mouth.
sometimes.
That one's a little bit more explained because they're gods. Granted, this guy is being transplanted
Turned
into
into
an
a
object.
yeah, he's being
But they are
turned into
treating-
It's the
But
power
they
of
are
the
treating the
keystone.
object with the eyes.
It's
I
how a
guess, I don't know.
keystone speaks.
I guess so.
I don't know. But it is not like telekinesis. Because anyone can hear soda speaking.
Yeah. Unless it's like OP telekinesis where everyone in vicinity can hear.
I'll say no.
You guys are saying
Probably not.
telekinesis. I think you guys are
Yeah.
using the wrong one.
Telekinesis is moving.
It's
telepathy.
Telephonesis. You dumb.
yeah,
Yeah, telepathy.
Telepathy, yeah, is the one you're looking for. Yeah, like telekinesis is moving objects. I don't.
Spring said it. I defaulted and agreed. And
Hey.
you're right.
I got a shorts reference in there. Sorry if I made a bunch of people upset with that one.
Yeah, don't worry. I think I knew what
Oh
you
my-
meant. I was just
Can
confused
you
for a
imagine if
second.
we covered shorts?
Hey, that can happen.
Oh,
It's not on my list of things to show, but someone could show it.
someone could show it. That is definitely not a movie writer has seen.
Probably
not what I've
not.
seen.
Yeah, telephonesis?
Yeah, telephonesis.
Oh, that's how she tracks. That's how Daijin gives. Oh, okay.
I don't know the how the physics of this chair works though. All
He
these
can-
like super jumps and slides and all
it
these
weird that
acrobatics.
Yeah, but the legs can come off to run and then click back on. Do they ever fully come off, the legs, when moving?
They don't fully come off, but they are like not rigidly
They're not
attached.
in the holes. Yeah, they're like
Physics wise,
they're
this doesn't make any
kissing
sense.
the rim of it.
Yeah.
And he gets like Hulk jumps at like the
Oh.
fair.
The tackling on the roller coaster was awesome. He sniped Daijin.
I agree. It was pretty cool. I'm also in agreement though. The physics of this chair are not. They don't work like normal physics
weightless.
objects. Yeah, They don't work like normal physical objects in, I guess, our world. So again, this is what I'm happy to wave away with magic, but because I think it's fairly consistent with itself once it's established. So I'm happy to wave this away with magic as magic.
I'm fine with it too. It's a whole new body. I've never been a chair before. I don't know how fast they run. I've never seen a chair race. So
He was pretty good. There was no learning period on how to move.
no.
Yeah, if I were to nitpick something about it, that
A
would
little,
be
but-
that would be my nitpick about it. I think there would be an adjustment period, but I don't have an issue with how the chair functions and it's consistent with itself.
You don't have any damage ladder to it never being an off balance thing. Like with 4 legs on the chair, I'm sure he'd be a lot faster. But the one leg missing never seems to be a detriment. It's kind of just for the joke when he falls asleep for it to fall over.
We never find out what happened to the other leg, did we?
No.
We assume it was lost in the disaster, but we genuinely have no idea.
We got nothing. Okay.
Yes, I think
'Cause
it's just a symbol of loss, which connects to her mom.
Yeah, when she found the time capsule, I thought the leg was going to be in there. It obviously was not.
No, it was made with 4 legs. We don't know that.
Yes.
It was not made with 3.
It was a completed chair.
I cannot speak for Suzume, but one little nugget towards the beginning, I kind of relate to her talking out loud at ruins when she's like looking for soda in the beginning, and comes across the door. But her talking out loud into the ruins, I kind of relate to that a little bit.
Yeah, I've never done
Yeah.
that.
I think it's
I
fine.
have.
It's like those people who scream out at the ocean.
Yeah, I don't
You know,
do
just
that. I
Yeah,
do.
I've never
I
done
talk.
that.
I talk out loud to myself or to the ruins.
Talking to
No,
yourself
there's
is
definitely
healthy.
people that do
I
that.
know it is. What?
Huh?
I'm
I
not
said there's
angry.
definitely people that talk to
Oh,
themselves.
okay. Yeah, I'm not grumpy old men in you. Yeah.
I'm not one of those people. I don't talk
You
to
are.
myself.
You. Oh, okay. I'm like, you're 100% that guy. You love that joke.
Oh no, the jokes. Yeah, love the jokes. No, I don't talk to myself out loud. No, in my head,
No.
sure. I definitely
No,
do
that's
that.
right. You don't talk to yourself. I don't think I've ever caught you talking to yourself, really. You mumble when you're upset sometimes, but
But yeah,
I think that's the closest I've seen.
that's not talking to myself. Yeah, that would be the closest. I haven't even seen myself talk to myself, and I think I would know.
Okay. You ever talk to yourself in a mirror?
No, I mean that would still be talking to myself out loud.
Ryder, I think this is a dream thing. Just nothing. It just doesn't.
It
do
quite possibly might be.
What? Everybody talks to themselves out loud?
Not everybody, but I think it's over 50%.
Possibly. I haven't asked enough people. I don't know what the percentages for this would be.
Well, I talk to myself. Sounds like a writer talks to himself. So
Well, it's
you
a
got
pretty
2 to
small
1 in
pool.
these odds.
It is a pretty small pool. Well, I can name like 10 people I know who do talk to themselves, but that's again anecdotal. Not really gonna be that scientific.
I think we found a poll, gentlemen.
You
That's
got
very
it.
true.
You got it. I'm writing that down right now. Oh, that's so stupid.
It works though. It's a good question to ask. Didn't expect that one to go off into a tangent, to be honest with you, but it did.
Every single conversation we've kind of had has gone off a tangent, and I like it.
These have been a lot of big talking. There's not been a lot of short ones.
Yeah.
So I'll bring up another bigger one. So
Go right ahead.
Sprinks,
Oh boy, yeah.
in the past, you're usually the deeper one on it, which is why I'm asking. How do you feel about the flashback visuals? Most of them have the
Oh.
order of the lines.
It
Not
looks
all
like
of them.
Caillou.
Yeah, I don't know.
If you know what I'm talking. You don't know Caillou? Okay, where it's like I don't know how to describe it, like a book, like a page of a book, where like the white border and like the drawings inside of it kind of reminded me of that.
Well, I think it's to emulate her like black lined out paper. I think that's what they're going for.
Oh, that could be it.
That's how I saw it while watching. Um, so I didn't know how that stacked up with you because during the flashback of the chair being built, it started as that, but it gradually faded away and turned to color.
Yes, which I think was really cool. They also put the Tomb Raider yellow paint on that chair. Uh, but I think it's just a distinction of the journal, because the journals seem to be all about her mom in the chair and like dark times of her life. So it's like seclusion and isolation of the look of her backstory of it, unless it's a very fond, happy memory, which is when the chair was made with her mom, which is like a very vivid, bright, colorful connection that she has with her mom.
And right, I don't know if you have anything to add for the, I guess, visuals of the flashbacks.
I really, really like that it's in black and white until the chair is what introduces color. That's I don't really have any visuals about the letterboxing itself.
To our knowledge, it's the only thing Suzume has of her mom.
That is true. Also,
Of our
what's
knowledge,
letterbox?
We're getting there.
We're getting there.
What about you, Crimson? Your own answer to your own question.
My own, I have to do that. No, I think it was a good integration because, like I said, I saw it as the lines in her paper, and we saw the line stuff throughout. It wasn't just when she found her time capsule, so it was an established thing. We just didn't know directly what it was correlated with. So I think it was a good choice. Does it look as good as Your Name with all of, like the red lines and all that, those flashbacks? No, but it fits this movie.
Gotcha. Okay. Again, I gotta rewatch Your Name and Weathering with You, probably. Let's see. What do I have to go for? Maybe it's just a cultural difference. I thought it was a little weird, but when she's invited to Chica's place to spend the night, very warm hospitality. Suzume gets invited to like dinner to have a meal, and then after dinner, then does like a bunch of chores, like gossiping and talking with Chica until bed. How late did they stay up doing chores?
Talking
I don't
about
know if it's a cultural thing.
boys.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just a cultural difference. It just felt weird. I guess like you have dinner and then at midnight you're cleaning up the pool.
And I guess just earning her keep
Just earning
as
her
a
keep.
guest. I don't know.
We're also lucky in the sense that we don't know what time it is, but because they could have like finished dinner and like at like 8 o'clock and then cleaned until 10 and then gotten to bed, that sort of thing.
I suppose that's true. It could have been that.
But but yeah, it could be a cultural thing. I think it's just her earning her keep because they're letting her stay, and Chica wants to be her friend quite clearly.
Okay. With that, let's go to writer.
Alrighty. I will do potentially another small one. We'll see. Soto, when they're at the second worm and the Chica's given them a ride to the place where they need to go, um, he wants to go off on his own, and obviously it goes badly. Is that like a pride thing as to why he goes off on his own? Do you think like he still hasn't? I feel
think
like
so.
Yeah,
I think it's a protection thing.
It could be that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's both pride and protection.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Keep
I'm kind of
he sees her as a civilian. Like, he doesn't want
Yeah,
that blood on his hands because the first interaction we see with the first door, a girder falls on him and cuts his arm.
yeah.
Like, you could die doing this. Like, it's dangerous. And I think that helps establish, like, he knows the severity of how dangerous it is. And Suzume is a random girl.
Yeah, because obviously this is clashing with the obvious logic where like, oh, he's a chair now, he needs the extra help. But I think that's a fair enough interpretation of it. Okay, yeah, that works.
When did you guys figure out that Sota was the keystone?
Oh, pretty much when Daijin says you haven't figured it out yet at the Ferris wheel theme park.
Okay. Sprinks?
On a second time viewing, I don't know. On a first time, I can't remember. I may have been so locked in, it wasn't until Daijin said, "You're the keystone."
Okay. Yeah, when we first saw Sota in the Ever After and we started freezing, like the first time we see it, and she opens the door, um, I just wrote Horcrux ? In my notes.
That's pretty funny. So yeah, that's right after the Ferris wheel event where he's dreaming that night and kind of dreams of freezing up. So yeah, that's very fair.
I don't know if either of you have something. The first door in the bath place is just a random door, right?
No.
No.
It was something I thought was very cool with the detail is through the water you can see the foundation of a building that was there. Uh, so there was a building in the middle of that, whatever dome that is. There was a little building,
Okay.
and the door, and there's a couple bricks left that are still standing. So it's just the remains of a little.
Okay, so it wasn't a
building.
random door placed somewhere. It's actually established to a building or something made there.
Yeah, you can see under
Something
the
was
water the
Okay.
foundation.
Okay, that makes it a lot better. I really like the detail that all these doors are any door possible. It's not just like the same doorknob on a door swivel opening type. Like
Yeah.
the Ferris wheel door and then the school sliding glass door and all that. It would have been cool if there was like a revolving door, like in a mall or something was causing it. Like just all these different types of doors I thought was really cool as a detail to use.
A
So they
door
don't
from
all
a
look the same.
billboard illustration.
Sure, a door on a billboard. A cat door.
There you go.
A dog door. A doggy door.
Dog door.
A garage door. I mean, you have all these options.
I do like the variety of doors. I did write on the Ferris wheel one. I'm like, lucky it's the ground floor one. What if it was
Well,
the door at the very top?
That is coincidental. So yes.
It is coincidental, but also the movie plays on that because it obviously starts spinning and moving.
Yeah, it becomes a death trap.
It does eventually do that.
The one though, the I guess last one that Suzume goes back to her old place to find, that one reminded me of just like Boo's Door in Monsters Inc. Like
Yeah.
it's not like from a place like you have to go find the door to go to the other world, and it's on its own.
Yeah, it does feel like that. I'll say with the Ferris wheel, other than it's lucky it was the bottom one, I do think they were inconsistent with the worm. Every time we've seen the worm burst out of a door, it has such force that it's pushing people away. And she's not getting affected by it whatsoever.
Is it different to the material at hand? Is it pushing the door? The physical door is being affected, but a person can't or won't.
Well, when he's the chair, the wind affects the key and it gets flown away. So it's not just the door; it is environmental.
Other things.
So I did find that inconvenient because obviously she would get flung off if it matched the force of our other examples at that point.
That is, you know what, you got
That's plot
You're
armor.
right. That is
Yeah.
plot armor. I have that as an issue. because she can physically grab it and is on it in Tokyo. Yet this one's going like right through her and it's not affecting her whatsoever.
Yeah. I think I'd probably have that as a Nick, but it's on the ladder.
Yeah, it's the same worm. So
Yeah, I would say I'm with you guys. It's plot armor. I would say that it's lucky and it's convenient. As I said, there's a few things. There's quite a lot of conveniences that are running through the plot. Um, on my damage ladder, I think I'm at a Nick.
interesting. I do like that when they turn the lights on at the amusement park, people actually notice. Like people in town.
Yeah, I
No one
mean,
goes to investigate, but
it would have been a pop at the spot, but yeah.
You're paid for the power bills.
yeah, that was a concern.
Another
Uh,
small detail that I like. That's just follow through when she's staying at Chica's place for the night. She has to check in with Tamaki. Suzume checks in with Tamaki because the aunt is just being worried and she's sending out an essay for her to read. Um, again, a nice little, I guess, a little nugget of the aunt having taken on the role of her mother. So
she sent that second
Yeah.
paragraph pretty quick. Or second message, I guess. It's more than a paragraph.
Oh, it was a lot. And then 55 messages the next day and move. It was a sum.
Do you guys feel this film was?
Oh,
Never mind.
postcarded. Go.
Gosh, I talked so much. Paced well. Springs, you can go first.
Oh. Restate your question. You said the whole movie.
Yes, the movie. Was the movie paced well? Spoiler for me, I don't think so.
See, the key word there is well. What do you define well? I don't think it's perfectly paced. Is my thing. I think
Is it below par?
no. I think it's okay paced. I think it's fine. I think the first like hour and 10 minutes up to destroying the worm in Tokyo is really well paced. That did not feel like an hour. I think that was like good adventure, good fantasy build, you know, where they're going, these characters they're interacting with to help them on their travels. I thought that was really well integrated, paced, moving kind of thing. Once the worm's gone and Suzume doesn't have Soda anymore and is sad about it and teams up for the road trip back home, I think it gets a little slow and the tone feels different. But it's not terrible because then it kind of tells me the movie isn't about just destroying the worm and keeping, you know, the keystones in place and everything, but it's the connections you have to people and to not feel isolated for Suzume's character of like losing her mom and that there's other people there even though if you don't know them fully well, people get to know you and are there for you, which is from meeting Chika and the mom at the karaoke bar. I didn't write down the mom's name. I forgot what it was. Or Serizawa, or like just all these people she's run into where she isn't alone doing it, even with Soto now being gone. And I think that was like the overall message to go with it, but it did feel kind of like a big chunk of the movie tonally changes to a different story on the way home and then concludes with like connecting both of them. So
Ryder.
Without repeating everything that Springs just said, that's kind of how I broke it. The movie. I think the first hour and 10 minutes or so is very well paced because it's just going from one thing to the next thing and the next thing with people helping them out. I think the movie it doesn't change its identity completely, but it's paced a little bit differently from that point on, and I can feel that as an audience member. So I don't think it's a greatly paced movie. Like it didn't like the change didn't break the immersion for me, but I think it does drag on a little bit too long as well after the worm incident and stuff. So I would say it's at par, but it's only like at the minimum grade of par. So like if I were giving this a letter grade, it'd probably have a C or C minus.
That's weird. I thought you were going to do something at a 10.
I
Because
know,
we don't do like
I know. But I mean, look, well, it would be in my average range, which
Okay.
it'd probably be 4.5 ish. It would still be in the average range for me, but it would definitely be on the lower end of it.
Okay. For me, pacing wise, over entirety of the film, I'd give it a 6.5. But Crimson,
Better
before
than
you share
average.
your answer, can I make a guess?
Sure.
You and I recently, off pod, watched a movie together where during the said movie we were watching, we paused to use the bathroom or get a snack or something, and you were shocked that there was still an hour in the movie.
Yep,
I
I
feel
know
like
which one you're talking about.
I feel like you're having the same situation here, possibly being like the whole worm and protecting the world from the worm that's going to destroy everything is the big story we've been going through this whole time. And they destroy it using soda as the keystone and it's taken care of. And then you look and there's still 50 minutes in this movie.
Yeah, that is part of my view. What seems to be a similar sentiment with both of you is once the worm's defeated, it kind of slows down a little bit. Um, but there's also stuff in the beginning I don't think is paced well, and it's something Sprinks usually brings up, so I'll bring it up this time. And I will preface, I usually say this is more of a guideline than
The
a
factual
rule.
rule.
Yes, of the rule of threes, right? They had
Ooh.
to fight the worm 4 times. By the fourth time, I'm like, we've done this already. We're done. I don't feel threatened by this worm. Uh, I think they did one too many.
The fourth one's the big one. It's
It is the
different.
big one. Um, I think there was too many of the same thing of them just having to close a door. Now there are different things here and there. You had the like glass door where you had Soda realize he can't do it on his own anymore and he needs help. You had the Ferris wheel where you had the cat and some revelations there with Keystone hints. But I think it just messed with the pace, at least for me, that we just kept getting the worm close the door. Didn't
It
feel
became
like much of a threat.
um there something I have for that, which I don't think makes the character stupid, but is also not fully explained. Are the doors for closers the same doors every time? Like, is that Ferris wheel door always a door that can be used to go to the ever after? And that's one like Soda goes to know. Like
So
when Soda's going
there is an
at
answer
the
to
first
that.
door, knows where to check the door. Again, this is the one with the keystone, so I guess that stands out a little
Yeah.
more so. But
I think there's an answer, or at least an idea. And they talked about how the keystones move every so often. It's when Sota is looking at his notes in his apartment. It's brought up that the keystones move locations, so they might move to
okay,
more relevant portals, or the portals
okay,
move.
because I was curious on the pattern that if a worm's being released from the first one, the location, and Daijin's gone, and then as they're trying to get Daijin, one near them at the school opens up, which is the cause of Daijin more than likely. So they go to get that one. It's not like a previous one's opened on its own because the keystone's gone and they have to backtrack. It's like, oh, do we choose to go after Daijin or do we go to choose the door because we're being, pulled in two opposite directions? Daijin's going the same path the portals are going. So upon like the third one at the Ferris wheel, I don't know why Soda doesn't go. Daijin's probably at the next portal. Let's go there before he does. And instead of looking for Daijin, they go to where the portal location is.
Yeah. So it's established the keystones move. It's not necessarily established that the portals do. So I guess that's up to you if you think because the
Okay.
keystones move, it's to counter the portals
Well,
moving.
okay, that's my thing. I'm
They
like,
don't really
why didn't
say that.
Soda ever say, let's just go to the next location where a door would be if he's a closer and knows where the doors are?
I think the main two that he would know about are obviously the keystone doors. But I'm not convinced he would know the other ones because the other ones seem random, and I thought that was the point.
Well, they're all at abandoned places,
Yes,
which
that is
is
true.
interesting in of itself.
They're all in ruins because he asked Suzume, "Do you know where ruins are?"
Also, I think I'm going Spriggs. I'm going back to our original debate of the white and black cats.
Oh,
We see a map of where the keystones are, which means if the black cat is in the other world, it wouldn't have been on the map.
but you said the keystones move.
Yeah,
Could
but
move
it's
in and out of
on.
worlds.
We don't see that.
We see one map. I don't know. I don't. You got me.
No, I was just thinking on that. I'm like, yeah, they do actually show a map of where the keystones are.
Well, the ever after isn't a pocket dimension. Every single door leads you to the same door on that side. It's a whole other world. Each location's somewhere else in the ever after. So that could still be marked. That's where the keystone is of Sadajin's in Tokyo. You don't have to go through the one where Daijin is, the first door. Go through that, and there's Sadajin because it's like
Is
every
the ever
door leads
after an
to
upside down? Is it just a mirror?
I think so. No, I think it. I don't know if it's an upside down mirror, but I think it's its own whole world. And each door you use to go there is its own set door there. So we've seen 5 doors in our world. I think that is that many doors on that side equal.
It's kind of hard because each time she looks through the door, it's the same like field until it's the final one where they're falling through the sky. Kind of looks like they all enter the same place. If where you're seeing is where you enter, anyways.
Yes, I don't know if that's the thing of like just Suzume. Her connection to her first instance is always looking at the first instance door. Like the one she first entered in is what she constantly sees. That explains why she doesn't keep entering them. Unless you say the Ferris wheel one, but that's all in her head because she doesn't actually enter it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the magic in this movie.
Not surprised.
Yeah. I think this is the weakest magic system of this trilogy of movies so far.
Well, Weathering with You was very simple.
Yeah, that's what helps it in the sense of like it's not much. It's not super complex to understand.
Heavily
And then
reliant in this one.
heavily reliant in this one, and then again with your name, there's really only one magical thing happening, and everything is kind of that would be considered magic branches out from that one specific thing.
Yeah, that one has more time travel stuff though,
Yeah. Well,
which
that's it.
has its own dicey
The
stuff.
time dilation thing, right? Which is one character's running 3 years ahead of the other, but it's also is made upon a wish, and they're just switching bodies, and it's more the magic is more so used as a gimmick in that than it is necessarily like
Yes, but
an
still, the
actual
events of
system
what
of rules
happened in the
itself.
past of someone's knowledge of the future can still change that of the past to affect that in the future.
Yes.
Which then caused
So,
inconsistencies. I remember one of our
yeah.
debates about like the phone texts were disappearing right before their eyes.
Yeah. Was a little weird, but I think, like I said, generally when it comes to magic, the more complexities you tend to add on, the harder it is to keep consistent. There are writers who can do it. Not saying they think there aren't, but it's this is kind of one of those movies. It's very heavily reliant on a magic system that we're kind of poking holes in.
Hey, that's on them.
It is.
It is on them.
Oh, question I had, which maybe goes into more of the magic system. Soda on the Ferris wheel one. Suzume has the key and is kind of being stuck in a mindset of like seeing her quote unquote mom and her in the ever after. And Soda's trying to get to Suzume from the roller coaster to the Ferris wheel part and starts saying his incantation to activate the keyhole forming to lock it, how far does Soda need to be for the key to like activate in here? Could it be on the other side of the world and start saying it and the key would activate?
See, you're touching
That's
on a little bit of a larger part with this door as well. To answer your question, I guess as long as the key can hear you, you can activate it. I don't.
Yeah,
If the
then you're talking about
key
the
can
key's
hear things,
ears, and I
um,
yeah, the
I mean,
spell
it's clearly listening to the
incantation,
spell.
but
Um, but what was the train of thought of what was the? Oh, the way it kind of seems like it works is you have to think of the people that were here before to lock the door. She's not thinking of the people before. She's thinking of her mom. I
well,
don't know what got her out of the trance.
yes, the incantation of the spell activates the key on her, and the power of that brings out the past of who have been there and those voices, because there's a shot that goes like to her ear, so her hearing the voices because she has the key breaks her out of the trance, which is why she turns and then sees kind of like their ghost forms in the Ferris wheel.
Which I think muddies the water because it's supposed to be the user that thinks of the past, not the key that thinks of the past.
Is it the one holding the key that can do such?
I mean, she is holding it and she's not thinking of people, but the key starts
No,
emitting people and then she acknowledges there were people.
because the incantation's being used. And that's the key's purpose, is to then connect to the people of the past for the strength to lock the door.
And then she starts seeing the people. I really feel like it should have been Soto who was thinking of the people and then activated the key and then she just turned it or something. Because I feel like this whole muddied up the whole rules of how the locking system works.
I'm in agreement. I think that would have been a simple visual thing to do. So have Soda listen to the people, and maybe the Soto hearing the people, maybe that can trigger Suzume into hearing them too. But I feel like that's where it should have started in either case.
I think it's the key that causes the people to be heard. And the key's closer to Suzume than Soda in the moment. Which is when they're closing the door at the school, they're both right next. I mean, he needs Suzume's help to do the key, which they're right next to each other and able to be heard. But this one at the Ferris wheel, I think, shows that Soda can't hear the people, but Suzume can because of the key's connection. So I think it's all linked to the key be able to hear the people, because that the key is the strength to close it.
Well, at the sliding doors, the one where Soto realizes he can't do it by himself because he's a chair, the key is activated, it's glowing, there's no voices until Suzume shows up and starts thinking of the people.
I can't recall when at the school door when Soda starts his incantation.
I know the
We
door,
also don't.
the key was glowing when he lost it.
We also
It was
don't
on.
know if Sota fully knows how this works. He just knows how it
There's
works for him.
Well, I mean,
there's
his
an el-
grandpa is knowledgeable. He's got books on it himself. I feel like he should be pretty knowledgeable.
there's elements of that that I wouldn't mind reading into his character, where he is new to being the full time like closer, so he's still like testing things out and learning things for himself. But I don't know if there's enough of that in the movie.
All I can implement is he knows how to close it from how he knows. But that
Yeah,
doesn't necessarily mean it's 100% the right way everything works. Like a Doctor Strange and the Ancient One kind of situation. Ancient One knows how everything works and operates. Doctor Strange can still do it, but he's doing it his way to make it work.
I can agree with that. It's
So there could be some details he's missing or learning as he's going, because he even says like, oh, he's in college trying to be a teacher. Like, he's young, kind of freshly into this. His grandfather was doing it prior to him. I don't know about Soda's dad or mom or, like, his parents. Totally not even talked about, and that's okay. But it does kind of imply that his parents are dead.
Or just on the picture, yeah.
Yeah, because he's so connected to his grandpa.
I will attach some plot armor, as more plot armor, I guess, to Suzume as well, because not only does she not, get blown away by the worm here at the Ferris wheel, but also the she doesn't just walk off.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is convenience, but I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah, like it's not
It's
a
very
it's a
much trans.
it's a nitpick for me. It's not really like it could be huge. It's just plot
Yeah.
armor as I see it.
Now I got a crazy thing to jump to. Crazy side
All
note.
right. Crazy.
I've never had it before in my life. I'm not opposed to trying it. But who puts potato salad on fried udon?
Who
Never
eats
heard of it.
fried udon?
I do.
Not me.
It's good.
I've had fried udon. So
Fried udon is pretty good. I like fried udon.
yeah, Crimson,
Uh,
I think you'd like it. Actually, it's just noodles. Now, if you do
Maybe.
fried
No,
udon with all
never
the
had.
toppings and like sauteed pork and like scallions and all that, no, you wouldn't like all that stuff. But just the
But
udon, I think you'd be okay.
I actually want to try that because of this movie. I actually wrote down a recipe for putting potato salad on fried udon. I want to try it.
It sounds wild.
It sounds
It sounds like
wild, but
too flavor like I don't know.
yeah, it sounds really wild. But I feel like it would work together strangely in my head.
Yeah, it's like putting baked beans on toast. It sounds so.
I agree, and that's awful. I would never recommend that to anybody. But I would want to try fried potatoes and udon noodles.
Wait, what did you just say?
I said it
Fried
wrong.
potatoes on udon? Yeah.
Yes, I said it wrong, but you know what I mean.
Did they do a good subversion with the white cat being a guide and not the antagonist? Ryder, you can go first.
Sure.
You got it.
I think it works in like the average. Again, if I'm gonna give it a number, it works in the sense that like it's in my average range. I don't think it's particularly strong because I feel like if there was more guidance from Daijin, quote unquote, I feel like it would have been a little bit more hands on. So like him throwing in the tangerines off the back of the car, that would have been another strength to that. So it works in the loosest sense. And what's really working for Daijin in this case is his more godlike nature and being whimsical. Because I feel like if he was guiding them and that was the point, he probably would have told Suzume that from the beginning, whether or not he liked Sato.
That is the core of my question, of why I brought it up as a question. Sprinks, your view?
I think it's good because it does lean into that Suzume not fully understanding anything of what's going on, cursed this guy into a chair, and the chair is connected to her mom. So she has all that emotion attached to it, and maybe that helps aid her in getting more connected to Soda in some weird way of being closer to him via the chair of her already established connection. And upon losing that person in the chair itself is like another loss for her. So all that being from Daijin that she's seeing Daijin did does pose Daijin to be mean and cruel, but Daijin just wants to have fun and be a friend to Suzume and be loved. And then to be changing that of Daijin, I guess in like the pace chain, the shift point, to be no, Daijin is actually just being a guide or an aid to Suzume and like the situation at hand. And yes, was chaotic in nature and had whimsy and this and that, but was not meant to kill someone. No, I can't really say that either because Daijin has been a keystone and knows isn't dead, so it's not like being a keystone is death penalty, but turning Soda into a keystone, Daijin knows that's not death. It's not killing him. So I do think it's just whimsy, but then again, it goes into Daijin being a god. How does it's a blink of an eye being a keystone from the lifespan of Daijin? Who knows? So overall, yes, I do think it was a good drop. I guess like to that twist.
What is Daijin's objective? Is it to protect humanity from the worm or not?
No, because I'm going with Daijin released Sadajin, which caused the worm to come out, and Daijin was like, a lot of people are gonna die.
All right, Ryder, is that how you view it?
I interpret it as his priority is Suzume, not necessarily like he wants to be friends with Suzume, but he understands that if we're going to the fact, right, he's guiding them everywhere, right? He wants to be friends with Suzume. He feels the best way to do that is to guide her to where the worms are going to pop out, because now that he's not a keystone anymore, he needs to teach her how to do this or something to that effect. So I feel like that's kind of where his motive comes in for me. But I honestly, while reading this, is one of the few times I really don't read much motive into Daijin, because for me it felt like they were intentionally trying to go very ambiguous on the whimsical god approach. Um, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I don't know. The character just confuses me because they are played off by the end as like the good guy. They're supposed to be, they're the guide, they save the day. There's a nice side to them. Very first action they do is turn the closer into a keystone in front of someone he already knew the name of. He knew um, Suzume's name. And how's that a good start to building a relationship with somebody turning their friend into a chair?
Yeah, like I said,
And
the
then
big
later down the line, when Suzume's like, I don't love you, I hate you, you don't love me, and then starts shriveling, I'm like, this feels hollow because you've done nothing to build this relationship. Why do you think she loves you? It all didn't mesh for me. It seemed incongruent.
yeah, like I said, I think the whimsical god perspective really just saves that aspect of it, because if I start digging into it, right, I think Daijin doesn't understand people at their core. That would be the main observation I can pull from it. So that's why he thinks he's being helpful by doing all this. Like, okay, I can be friends with her, and I don't understand that necessarily that she's friends with Sato. Only that Soda, sorry, that. So that's kind of where I would lean with that. So like it works in a like I can see why it would be consistent, but the emotional payoff of it is incongruent because we don't really see Daijin reconcile how what he was doing could be interpreted as bad.
Yeah, and wraps around to the point you touched on of why not just communicate that you're helping.
Yeah.
Uh, so I'm at an issue for just his character as a whole because I view it as incongruent and inconsistent with what motives he may or may not have because it is pretty gray. So that's where I have it at.
I think I'm I think I'm at the point where I think his character is consistent, but I find his actions to be somewhat incongruent and questionable. So I'm not going to be as high as an issue. I'm probably going to be at a Nick. I'm, but I like I said, I understand why that you have an issue with it. It makes sense that you do, because like I said, I watch it through the lens of it him not really understanding people, which raises a lot of questions, but doesn't necessarily raise it up for me, I think.
And Sprinks, take it you're just like, hey, okay, nothing wrong with me.
I'll put as a nitpick again because it's not fully stated, like full character motivation story kind of thing. Pick it up. So I have a nitpick, but I can totally get like a god to a mortal and different viewpoints on that. Because I don't know if like the worm dropped, would Daijin been like, oh, Suzume didn't survive, okay, and just moved, like been sad or something. Like really expected Suzume to defeat the worm. What if Suzume didn't? Kind of thing. It's like so
Well, I mean, Daijin goes out of his way to save Suzume, so
after the worm's destroyed.
yeah, after the worm's destroyed. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, I'm saying if Suzume didn't take soda and plunge it into the worm, and the worm fell because it was falling, if it just destroyed Earth and killed her, like would Daijin be like, "Oh, drat! I was betting on the other side." A little detail I like is that Suzume's battery on her phone dies. So it's not one of those things where it's like, man, her phone just infinite battery life, is able to contact anyone at any time she wants.
And we surcharge it.
We do.
I mean, as a small thing, I agree. I quite like that because a lot of films just like have a phone that doesn't die.
Yeah, you have the phone that never dies, the no security cameras in a world where they would be there, guns with infinite ammo. Things happen because people excuse it as it's a movie.
Yeah,
But
it's a classic excuse, but it adds a sense of more. It's small
realism.
details like that, right, where you see a phone running out of battery that kind of grounds the world a little bit more in what otherwise is a fantastical film.
Yes. Yeah. I'll jump to another thing because it reminded me of you, Crimson, something you're very big on, or in a sense. Was soda the conversation that Suzume has with the grandfather of you either keystone soda to save the world or save soda to destroy the world, essentially a Chloe Price situation?
Spoilers for that property that
It's
I won't name.
I already know the property. It's too late.
It's a little old, but
So I can just spoil a bunch of old stuff right now.
I mean, I could leave and come back.
I see the parallels. It is similar, and I did like how the grandpa took it. He's like, it is what it is. It happened. He saved
for the
us.
greater good.
Be happy that you made the right choice. Move on with your life.
Yeah, and Crimson, what is the right choice?
It's not make up stupid rules to go back to the other world to save the chair. No,
Got it.
that's being,
I'm like, are you
purely numbers? Yeah,
Oh.
I mean, the right thing was done. The world was saved at the cost of one person.
Okay.
Numbers wise, that was the right choice.
And then
Use the
figuring
photo.
out, yeah, and then figuring out by the end that you can save him and just use the keystones to relock everything. It works out. You save the world and then get to go back and save the one person that was sacrificed. So
Why couldn't they have turned the grandpa into the keystone? He would have been fine. He would have been up for
They didn't have
that.
the power to. They could
They
have.
didn't have the power to.
Well, I don't think so. I don't know if soda can turn other people and curse them into keystones. It's something
No,
the
but the
gods
cats
do.
can.
They can.
It'd be
it
funny
shows
if
not to. He's
Daijin.
dying.
It'd be funny if Daijin did that. That would be.
Why not?
They could.
They could have.
They didn't go the route.
No, because
Daijin
they
ended
can't.
up accepting his fate. I guess.
It wouldn't have been a better story.
Are you saying that just for the plot they ignored an obviously good fix to something? What?
I'm not using your adverbs of including good in there, but I'm saying it could have been different.
Less,
It gives emotional
less
pull.
headaches.
It's about it's about execution. So, I'm also not going to add very many adverbs to that.
But less of an emotional pull. I'll say that. Speaking about emotional pull, I'll be man enough to say I cried watching this movie.
What a man! Um, no,
Man, what a man, what a man, what a man. Yeah.
what a mighty fine man. Let me guess. Let me guess. Don't say it.
All right.
Wow, what the heck would be the standout cry in this one?
I'll say, did I cry the first time I watched this? I don't remember. But I cried during this watch.
I didn't cry in this one. I think I said in Your Name I did tear up.
Your Name is the most emotional one.
Yeah,
I do agree with that.
Your Name fucked me up too. It's okay.
What? You're guessing too, by the way, Ryder.
Oh,
Not a one-man
okay.
game.
Fine, fine.
What would Sprinks have cried at in this?
Honestly, I think he would cry at older Suzume giving younger Suzume words of encouragement.
I'm thinking it was Suzume and the ant kind of rekindling in the car.
I can see that too.
Okay, those are 2 guesses.
Yeah.
Ryder,
Springs, what's your guess?
No, I think it's what Ryder said.
Yeah. The reason I figured that one would get you is for the same reason that I forget his name, but again, Everywhere All at Once, his monologue, and also like just how you tend to view yourself as a person and the struggles that you go through as your life, as I know as your friend. I kind of feel like the Suzume scene talking to younger versions of would have hit you pretty hard emotionally.
It did. There you go.
I teared up the first.
Waymond, by the way.
Waymond, yeah, thank you. I teared up the first time. Didn't get me this time, but I was also distracted and writing notes and being as super analytical as I can because I also really like that scene. As someone else who also struggles a lot in life and deals with a lot of BS, but that's just how it is.
I don't think. Maybe it's onto the pacing. I don't think the relationship of Soda and Suzume was enough to get to her emotion of losing him.
So
yes, it is sad, but I don't think there was enough between the two because when it does like the highlight of like going through all their memory of like their adventure together, kind of thing, I don't think it was strong enoughly built. Strong enoughly. That's not a word. Strong enough built.
That kind of ties into the whole love aspect of the film. I definitely think she loves Soda, like it's an infatuation thing. She's young, it makes sense.
She's 16.
She's 16, yeah. And so I think there's a level of infatuation with that. That I'm okay with that being a part of her character traits. But the benefit of Your Name, right, is they theoretically spent months swapping bodies and getting to know each other that way before they ever saw each other in person. So the romance in that, or it's all really building up to the romance at the end of the film, where they meet and get together.
4 days.
Yeah. So adding onto that, there's a level of adrenaline that might add into why she's infatuated with him. Because
it's again, she's in love with the memory of her mom, which is the chair, and he is the chair.
So it could be her projecting a lot of feelings as well. So I can buy a lot of the feelings from her going on to Sota, in the sense that he was helpful, useful, saves the world regularly, that kind of thing. And as to why she's suddenly terrified that he's not there, because there's only one keystone that she knows about, being in the chair. So I agree. The emotional gut punch as to her reaction to Soda being missing is lacking some more foundations, but I can buy at least her infatuation with him.
I can buy her crush on him. Him towards her, not as much. I'm usually a sucker for these flashback montages. I felt nothing on this one. The only thing I felt was a little surprised that there was no like her sitting on him memory. You remembered her standing on him, but not sitting on him. That was the only standout I got from it.
Yes, I just.
Wait,
I don't know
hold
if
on.
it's just
Would that have
too
been
early.
better if it did have that? Or were you surprised
It
it
would have
just
been
wasn't there?
funny. No, I didn't really feel anything. I didn't feel the romance in this that much. I could
I'm
see it
thinking
on
it's more of an
screen.
emotional impact if someone sits on him than stands on him. That's what I'm hearing.
Listen, he's a foot guy, okay, not a butt guy.
I'll keep my mouth shut. I'll keep my mouth shut.
That is the closest I will get.
We know
All
which
right.
way soda is.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
Um, so, but yeah, I would say the romance is generally underwhelming, but I can at least buy into the infatuation Suzume has onto Soda, and I think it's better in the sense that Soda doesn't really display romantic affection her until later on, potentially. Because we don't really get much from him towards her, which I think is probably for the best.
He's more mature.
Yeah. He probably thinks this is just infatuation.
Could be.
I mean, they do part ways at the end.
They do. And like I said,
But then they meet up again.
yeah, which is fine. Like I don't have an issue with them eventually having a relationship or whatever. But to know they didn't get together in the film, I think, is to the film's benefit because if there was any actual romance, I feel like it would have been rushed, more rushed than it might already feel.
Plus, he's like 22.
I would say 4 or
Maybe?
5 years older. That's not like I said. I'm not gonna.
Because he's in his 4th year of being a teacher for school. That'd
Yeah.
be college stuff. So
And in Japan, you can start that when you're 18. So you're 17 or 18 at least when you can start. So I
So,
think that checks
22.
out. She's probably 22. And like I said, I'm fine with that. As if we're gonna get into the age difference thing, I'm not too bothered by it, mostly because they don't get together in the film, and that's mostly, I guess, Western. That might be just my more Western perspective on when it comes to romance and ages. Because technically, our Your Name, they have a 3-year age gap, but we obviously don't find that out until the end.
I mean, the Western mind in me is like she's in high school and he's in college, like leaving
Yeah.
college. That's 6 years is in a grand scheme of relationships not that big of a deal. I think it's just
It's that
where
they're
they're
both
at in their
under 20.
lives.
It's they're both under 20 is the problem usually with that.
But in Japan, maybe a 22-year-old and a 6-year-old is normal. I don't know. Not my
Not my
within
field
my
of
knowledge
expertise.
banks.
Yeah.
But I think we're all in agreement that the romance is okay, just underwhelming.
At least for me, I agree. I didn't feel much of anything for him.
Yes, I suppose with the word romance. I could say in the relationship is probably more where I would use the word for. Because it is a friendship they make, and she is more romantically invested in him, but he isn't for her.
Yeah, okay.
But
So
still,
if we're
with the
gonna,
flashbacks of their relationship built, just doesn't feel. I feel like that's a scene that should have been at the end of the movie rather than the middle of the movie.
well, it is for him. We get his montage with it.
Yeah. Which then kind of re-shows his view, like
It's his
view,
perspective.
but
I
yeah.
think the double dipping was a mistake. I think they should have just had his montage
Yeah.
and not hers.
No, I agree. I think that
Why
does
didn't she
water
get a
down.
montage of the white cat getting released?
Of Daijin awakening from the keystone? I don't know.
Yeah, because that's what she's doing with Sota. Is he's getting released from being a keystone? She did that.
Yeah, that doesn't. Soda wasn't even there. It's connected to
Even
him.
more.
So, the release of the keystone of Daijin, Soda wasn't around.
I thought what? Is memory the flashbacks we're getting through Soda, is Suzume seeing that, or is that viewer
No,
vision?
that's
I would
viewer
assume it's
vision.
viewer vision.
Okay, then yeah, I interpreted it as she was seeing that. So okay, then
Oh no, I think that's viewer vision. That's his memories.
okay, okay. I thought they were kind of like entwined there, because she's like freezing with them, and we're getting these flashes of his thoughts. So okay.
I really,
Well,
really
that
like.
again, that could be what you interpreted because the movie's not 100% specific.
I mean, if you both saw it the other way, I'm inclined to go with yeah, because I'm allowed to see things incorrectly.
Yeah. Are you saying her freezing and she starts seeing his memories, being how connected they are, which is she's taking on his freeze to try to turn herself into the keystone. She's seeing that his last memories were thinking of her.
I guess in a way, yeah.
Okay.
And then that's why I brought up the why couldn't she see White Cat's memories? But if that is just viewer vision of us seeing through Soda's memories, then it's a mute point for on what my point was.
Okay. I don't think it's on my. Is it a nitpick? I think I have it as a nitpick. I don't understand why Tamaki and Serizawa, the first shock that Daijin talks in the back seat, and they're like, "Wow, talking cat." Why does Sadajin talking give him the same response?
Because it's a different cat. Maybe they're just crazy now. I have no idea.
I'm like, they've already experienced a talking cat. Yes, it is shocking. The more unnatural things you see, but if like you're picking up another stray that's with the one that is talking, I don't think it's too shocking that that one also talks, which is why it's there.
Well, the first instance of it, they brushed it off. Like, no, no, it's not a talking cat. When it happens again with another cat, then that's kind of confirming that they are hearing something. So the
Oh, I
shock might be
suppose.
them realizing this is real and not just them hearing something.
I guess because Daijin isn't a chatterbox on the whole ride.
Yeah,
He's just a big ball of depresso. Yeah.
yeah, depresso soup.
Oh, you don't want to be my friend because I killed your other friend? No.
Oh darn!
I don't
And I
understand what I
almost
did
let you
wrong.
be responsible for killing the entire world. Oh darn! Suzume, you're running late. Well, then why didn't you tell me earlier? That line bugged me after realizing that he was helping. why, why are you having her be late? Why didn't you get her going sooner?
I don't remember
Yeah.
that line.
Well, maybe that's a
I can't.
translation thing,
I
but
can't.
he said that.
You're late, Suzume. Yeah, so he. I don't think he's like. He doesn't
Yeah,
say you're running late. I think he says you're late, Suzume. I think is what
yeah,
he
you're
says.
late, Suzume.
Oh, did
Which then
Daijin see
just
the future and things are
uh,
affecting differences?
that is what the movie needs to set up, because that would make turning Sota into a keystone, I guess, better. 'Cause, his whole goal is to no longer be a keystone, and if he knows turning Soda into a keystone actually solves the worm problem, then I
I
guess that
feel
would
like
make sense for a grand plan. But that is, I don't
Maybe,
think
but
the movie did that.
Daijin learns from this whole adventure from Suzume to accept being a keystone again.
Yeah, so I don't think it's clairvoyant.
Okay. And it's certainly not that alien guy from Men in Black 3. Like that kind of future stuff.
I agree. I feel like Daijin. Uh, again, it just ties into like I guess the level of understanding he has with humans, and which, as far as I can tell, watching this movie, it doesn't seem to be that much understanding. It's mostly it's mostly him just being whimsical, and because if he understood people, I think a lot of his actions would have changed. That's a character trait I had to read into him, and I think it's still applicable to read into him. But yeah, motives be questionable if he understands humans.
He has motives at all and isn't just going with the flow. He's not going with the flow. He definitely has some direction going.
Yeah, he's leisurely about it, I guess. I'll jump to one of my funny favorite comedy bits. Is I love that Tamaki misinterprets Suzume and uh, what is his name? Sprinks Mino. It's not
Oh,
Minasawa. It's
Serizawa?
Serizawa. Yeah.
Yeah. Serizawa.
Thank you. So, so Tim Tamaki misinterpreting Serizawa and Suzume like arguing out in front of the car, with other people noticing as well. It's convenient that she shows up, but I find it amusing the way it jumps to conclusions. It's a kind of
Well,
realistic humor sense.
yeah, especially with on the phone, she said, "I saw, the first date in your room. Was it a boy?" And Suzume goes, "No, no boy," and hangs up. And when she sees her, she's with a boy.
Yeah, it adds up.
With a broken convertible.
Yeah, why do you think that was in here?
To add comedy?
That comedy? Okay.
Yeah, I legitimately think that's the only reason. Yeah.
Okay. I think it's also into the character of Serizawa a little because he says that Soda owes him like 20,000 yen. So like he's not putting like I guess he's taking aid of funds or everything, so he's using what he has. I don't think that money's going to go into fixing his convertible, but well, actually after the crash maybe, but
Oh, then it turned out
No,
he owes
he's
Soda
the one that
money.
owes Soda money. Yeah.
yeah.
Which is why he hasn't fixed the roof.
Yeah. What do you guys think of Suzume going to sleep? She's been our main character, and then we just sit with Serizawa and Tamaki for a while. That probably doesn't help much in terms of like the tonal slash
It's
pacing shift that
interesting.
we all felt, but it is a different. It feels different to the rest
Yes.
of the story. So I think that's why it ties into like our feeling with pacing and everything else.
I see that as a strength and build into the message of the movie being those who are there for you, where this is an instance of those you've interacted of your own life while you're quote unquote gone, so Suzume sleeping, how they react and interact with one another over you. Because the aunt's known her whole life, all 16 years, and Serizawa just was introduced to her. And how like the two of them talk about that, which also with the history of we the audience know that Tamaki has been single for a long time, kind of gives that little spark of possibility being in a conversation with him without waving him off like Minoru. So
Yeah.
I just think that's the build of like how people in your life aren't simulated to just interact with you by yourself, but how they interact with others who have interacted with you, and how that builds like a whole bond of people who know you or know of you. Because that's also in a way that the conversation is
Serizawa.
Serizawa learning about more from Suzume, from his good deed of like helping her get home.
Yeah, everyone impacts each other in different ways. That's just how life is. I have more to say, but Crimson, why don't you get your bit out?
Um, I see. I'm mixed on it. I kind of felt like it dragged, but it does deliver information. It is delivered from characters that are really kind of tertiary. Uh, mm, I do think it affects the pacing that you brought up, Ryder. I think that is part of it. I don't know how else I would integrate it with her being awake or not. So I wouldn't remove it because it does deliver some good tidbits.
Yeah, I'm not arguing for it to be removed for sure. My other bit on this is I really like that at least we skip the like the explanation part. We can fill in as an audience to how he explained himself when she's looking at his like studying to be a teacher's ID card. So
Yes.
I like that she's more talkative with him at that point and less hostile because obviously at that point in the conversation he's explained himself and things like that. So I like that we kind of skip past the what would have been useful. It would have been useful only in the most like surface level sense of dialogue, and so we skipped that and went straight into more character driven like stuff. So we can kind of backfill into why Soda or why Shirozawa is concerned about Soda because he's a fellow like student studying to be a teacher, and also why he's got a soft spot for kids in the sense of why he's helping Suzume. And again, as you said, Sprinks, it adds a more of a spark of connection between them.
Yeah. I think in its very small vein, being how it's not Suzume being present to hear it all and be present for, it's in its own way a world building situation of how the characters interact without the main character around.
Yeah, they talk about her, and we get some more back. We get some history, as well before it becomes super relevant with the kind of the. It's not Daijin. It's the Sadame.
Daijin.
Sadajin. It's Sadajin like bringing all the more negative aspects out to the forefront during their argument. So it's also functions as good setup for that too. So despite the pacing, I'm kind of I do like this scene. I just wish the movie built up to it a little bit better, I think. So it felt better integrated.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that. Let's see. Let me see if I have something to jump us to. So something I'll touch on when they're in the ever after towards the end and getting um, Soda back from being unpossessed, like in the form of a chair. Are they? They're like calling the voices in the ever after, right? To help block the door.
It it
So
feels
are
like
people there?
so I had a question about this. Do like did disasters bring people to that place? Or is this just the lay of the land that's right outside the door which they came? Because there's one of the flash instances that makes it look like Suzume saying goodbye to her mom. So I'm not sure. It
Okay.
feels like
Like, is it a
could,
afterlife of where all the worms killed go?
it could be. That's kind of one of my interpretations about it. Like they're all victims of a worm disaster.
I don't know. It's weird. I don't know if it's its own realm or if it's like a time place where it takes place during a time like we see like a burned village here, and then she is recounting the people of the past, and we see the whole town is healed and green and everything. Like, is that town, a real town that got burned down there, and this is just her running to the past and it got fixed?
Okay, like
I
in
don't
ever
know.
after, is it a time door where you jump 50 years or before 50 years, or is it like a Narnia where it's a different realm?
That's the question, and I don't know. Like, is the worm stuck
Or
at
is it
this
an
time?
alternate reality?
It could be a parallel world or something. I don't know.
This is where the worm's actually gotten all of its attacks out. I don't know.
Not enough is stated. I think this is okay to be ambiguous compared to the other things we've talked about being ambiguous. This doesn't
Best I
really
know of
affect
the
the
ever
plot,
after,
if however it is.
best I got is people aren't walking around. You're not going in the ever after, and it looks like the world they're coming from kind of look.
Yeah.
Like it's empty.
He does say it is where at some point in the movie it's where souls go to rest.
Yeah, like giant worms.
Well, the giant worm could be the devil. I don't know. It could be hell for all we know. Or this world's interpretation of it. So I think, I guess what that line is where souls go to rest in, not interpreted by Soda from that line, could be a place where all those victims of the worm are kept. But we don't see them. Like, we don't see ghosts going around or, skeletal demons or anything. Like, the disheveled looks of the dead, or even just normal looking people who are dead.
There, and they exist there to a degree, but not like in a physical form.
Yeah. So I was just questioning on that because using the key's power, it seemed to drain from the ever after, where I thought no one resided. Okay, I guess that just tacks more onto the magic thing. So let's go to Crimson.
So why didn't Daijin give her a ride through the ever after? You had the black cat fighting the worm, and then they're just running through the fire village to Sota, and I don't know why a ride is not being provided.
Because I think
we know that he can change form.
Yes.
And the other one can fly, so he could possibly fly.
Yeah. So
I think
this. You first.
Host card, go.
Okay. All right. I think this would fall on a damage ladder for me because it's a power and ability that he's demonstrated to have, and he has no reason not to use it. He's not being whimsical anymore. He's on the same page with Suzume now. So I view this as probably leaning towards a flaw or problem.
Oh.
Because it's very relevant to the story of what's going on. And it would shortcut at least the tension and the fire. But there's no reason given as to why he can't do that.
Why didn't they fly the eagles?
Good man.
No, there's reasons for that, but we'll get there when we get there.
I don't see it as, because with you just saying that writer on the same page as Suzume and Reason can't feel like two different things to me. Reason can't, don't know. I think Daijin has full capability to do it if Daijin chose to do so. So I think it's more on Daijin could have done such a thing, but is still testing Suzume, which was the whole worm bit to begin with, like being like, everyone can die, it's all in your hands, do what you need to do. And this is the same instance where there, because that's still Daijin's nature, I suppose, of being like the god that Daijin is set for, of still being like, I will be there with you, because when on the worm, Daijin is still the white, happy self, not the sorrowful gray that Suzume puts that depression onto Daijin. This is still the white one here in the ever after. So I think it's still the same. It's like, let's see your determination, where you can go. I'm still next to you. If rubble fell down or something got in Suzume's way, I think Daijin would have been there to like block it or to like help, so it didn't like knock Suzume out. But it's still seeing Suzume's motive and cause to get to Soda as the keystone, and Daijin's there for it. Because I think that's still in character to Daijin, then a whole flip after the worm, quote unquote, got killed the first time, for Daijin to be completely different.
I can sort of see that. I think it's because assuming that the character went on arc, I'm not saying it's incredibly well written, right? But the testing of Suzume...
I'm just saying, your example you gave seems like two separate things to be tackled.
Oh no, I mean, I tie them both to character. So for me, they're inherently tied into the same decision. Is the choice... The issue is inconsistency with an ability that we know he has to make the situation easier.
Yes, but it's the difference of the magic ability to do so and the mind choice to do it.
So he doesn't have an issue doing it that we know of. We know he's chosen to use it.
Okay, so the lack of the power is in no way to your flaw problem state.
It wouldn't be a flaw problem. I would be leaning more
Okay,
towards
that's what I was getting at.
yeah, it's more of a character thing that I would take issue with for this reason, because I it's either incongruent with a previous scene with where, they're buddy buddy now because she realized that he was helping him the entire way, and then, which is true, that works. And then the question is, if it's a test, what is he testing? It feels incongruent then with that scene if it's a test. And then if it's the action of the film forgetting that he has this ability, that's in of itself could be still on the damage ladder. So my difference with you is it's a flaw if it's a character problem, but it still remains an issue because we know he has this ability and the film hasn't given us legitimate reason as to why he's not using it. We can infer it's a test, but that's not at all obvious for us as the audience. Because the moment she gets to Soda to start pulling him out, we see Daijin immediately start trying to help too.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what the test would be at this stage.
I still have it as a nitpick because it's just a thing that's not fully stated, but I can see a reason for.
I think I would take an issue with it either way. So I'm gonna rest on an issue for now. It does affect the story a little bit in the sense that it just makes it more tense. They still get to the same location, but one is just less stressful than the other.
Yes, but I don't think it steps to the line where it's a movie moment.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it gets the movie moment either.
And I'm at a Nick. I'm sandwiched.
But
Shocking. Okay. I believe, was that a Crimson Point? Who was that?
That was.
Okay, cool. Well, let's go to writer.
Sweet. I will go to the fallout from the Sadajin induced argument between Suzume and Tamaki. I quite like that Shirazawa the following day is just being an awkward middleman, trying to lighten the mood. So
Yeah.
good character
He drops
dynamic.
his
Also just some humor. Just praising the simplicity.
No, it's a nice little scene of comfort, but she has enough built, I guess, to aid with the previous scene that we talked about, where the two of them are just talking in the car, that she has the comfort to go to him about it.
Yeah.
And not be like he's a stranger.
Yeah, they've been talking for hours, presumably. So I think it works. I also quite like her reaction too, because despite what she said, Suzume's first reaction to it was to try to help her off the ground, so that probably made her feel even more guilty. So I think she did a smart thing to remove herself from the situation at that moment, so she could stabilize herself a little more.
Well, I can jump somewhere.
Well, Crimson, what's your viewpoint on it?
Yeah, I think it's fine dynamics throughout. I think character-wise, nobody was really inconsistent except for the cat. I feel like everyone was pretty consistent with themselves and the dynamics with each other. You had the wrench of the ant, but she got influenced by a god, so can't really blame her for that.
Yeah, I was going to write down out of character, and then the god showed up. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that is a hefty excuse.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, seeing how much we've jumped around, is everyone good with 2 more?
4 more? Okay, 2 more.
That's not what I said. But I guess we could compromise and say 3 more.
Okay.
All right, 3 more each. Let's see. A connection I found. I've been keeping this secret. We asked what connected the previous 2 movies to this one, if anything at all. And one was to Weathering with You, with the music added in. Another one is a shot they used at the very end. At 1 hour, 54:47, the door to the train that arrives to take Soto away is just like that of all the shots of the doors in Your Name.
Same in sentiment or cropping?
I think both, probably.
Both probably.
It's the
Okay.
the opening of a automated door centered, showing like the 2 lives on both halves and how close they are.
I also said cropping. I meant composition. Whatever.
Oh,
Same thing, but it just sounds more technical. Okay. I mean, I can see that. Far less direct of a reference, but a nod, perhaps.
I think it's a nod. And appropriately placed. It's not like just a random shot. It's still for the film, the sake of Soto going on his life and Suzume going on hers.
Yes, if it does not feel jammed in.
Ryder, did you notice it?
I did not. I enjoyed the scene as well for what it is.
Gasp. All right, Crimson, you're next.
Oh, I'm up. What do I do? No. So I think I talked about it right before we started recording. So now I'll actually talk about it. The line, and I'm curious if this is different with the sub.
I'll try to remember.
Somehow I forgot. So this is referring to the whole child talk, and she talks to Soda, and like somehow I forgot about this whole thing. I immediately went to somehow Palpatine returned.
Like somehow she forgot she was ever in the Ever After?
Yeah, or talking to herself or something, that she's just referring to her young self not remembering this.
I don't remember that at all. Reading in the subtitles.
Interesting. Well, that'd be pretty wildly different if that is indeed true.
Yeah, I think the dialogue is fine here. It's unlike the Rise of Skywalker one. That this one has a lot more inferences that can explain it.
Explain her forgetting something this big?
Yeah,
I feel like you would need something more explicit.
she just lost her
trauma,
mom. She is super traumatized.
That's core memory.
Not
Core
exactly.
memory that she's traumatized.
Not
maybe.
exactly. It can be hidden in the mind. The mind is a defensive mechanism to aid that of a younger age, and could have not surpassed. But,
I need the movie to tell me that's a suppressed
subdued.
memory.
Oh, it just did. I'm pretty sure it just did without having to explicitly tell you.
It tells you she doesn't know.
It tells
and
you
we know she's been there.
We know it's a suppressed memory. We literally see her crossing out everything in her fucking diary, and then we scroll back the last pages of the door. I'm pretty sure that's all the explanation you need that it's a suppressed memory.
I find that as extreme weak sauce.
I'm waiting for you to demonstrate better, honestly.
I think Crimson experiences traumatic events differently.
Yeah, I definitely remember my traumatic moments. But then, how would I know if I had forgotten, though? Maybe something wild happened to me and I had no idea.
Don't start mocking it.
I'm allowed to.
You're allowed to, but you're still wrong. So shrug.
No, I don't think he's wrong. He's just different, and it's fine.
No. The generalization is the issue I'm taking with Crimson is that he's painting a broad stroke on this is how it explicitly works.
Well, Crimson's also the one who's like, she didn't scream, and if anyone was in that situation, they would have screamed. It's like the individual is different to the person, and if you're establishing how you experience a traumatic event, to how the film's portraying it being different than someone who would experience it the same, then it would stand out.
There's freaking limits to this.
I'm just saying the experience of an individual is to their own, and that's why we all don't have the same objective score. Like, we all see things differently in it. But the thing is, you're trying to find what is the film's portrayal of using it for.
Yes, that right there.
Yeah. I watched the sub version. Apologies. But I think it was a suppressed memory from a traumatic event, and she does not recall seeing it because even her dreams, like the very beginning is a dream and of a memory, she thinks it's of her mom because it's an older version of herself, which probably looks like her mom.
Uh, was there a moment that she changed outfits
In the movie?
at the end there? She's
She
wearing a
does.
different clothes when she's talking to her younger self than when she was
She put
like dating
Sato
Soda.
Soda puts on like his jacket over her, and I did find that a little weird. I think her skirt changes, which was the only weird thing for me in that
Yeah, it's a
scene.
pretty long jacket, but
Yeah, well,
she
I mean the
wraps
long
it.
jacket's longer on her. It made her look like a shrine maiden, which I actually thought was a nice symbolic uh thing to do. That she looks like a shrine maiden, but uh
I
like
think that's fine
once it's closed, I think it does look like it would look like a new outfit. Yeah. So I don't think I actually have any issues with that. Yeah.
because they
It's
keep
just
the
weird because
detail
we're
of him
missing her
not.
iconic green skirt, as I guess we've been attached to her character the whole time.
So Crimson, where is this all leaning for you?
I'm gonna nitpick.
Okay.
Uh, I will say the line is weak, but I don't have a particular issue with the line being used. That somehow I forgot. I think I'm more on the line. I think the repressed memories of was made more explicit with her diary. Um, but I think I'm at nothing, I guess.
I'm also at nothing. It's not on my damage ladder. I think they do it a fine amount in the film to portray what they're going
I
for.
am curious to see the sub now, though. Given that that line is not there, I'm curious if the scene's better.
It seems to be different, at least in some context of things said, not just of us, but in the film.
Yeah.
Uh, let's say writer. That's right. You're next.
Yeah, I quite like. I already did the character dynamic bit. One of my favorite like thing that was super funny. Probably didn't intend it to be. Is just the look on the Daijin's Sadaji's eyes of while holding Daijin in his mouth, like while they're riding in the basket at the front of the bike. Just the every bump that they hit, Sadajin just looks so uncomfortable, which I guess it just was funny to me on a visual level.
You seem to like his character quite a bit.
Sadajin,
Yeah.
the black cat.
Oh, never mind. I mixed that with the friend. I never wrote down the friend's name.
No, I'm like,
So
yeah,
Soda's friend.
Sadajin. I don't think writers
No,
really talked
Sadaji's the
about.
black cat.
I
No,
haven't really.
I was
You
thinking
mean
of the friend.
Surazawa?
Yeah, see, the other similar sounding name to
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
Mixed them up.
No, I'm not.
'Cause I was
I'm
like,
not
I don't
talking.
remember this scene you're describing with him on the front of a bike.
No, I
No.
am talking about. Yeah, I am talking about the black cat. Yes.
Gotcha. That makes more sense now.
Yeah, I imagine it does.
Did I mention
Yeah,
I'm
what a
running on 4 hours of sleep?
I'm like, what a show! What you did at the before the podcast.
I did before.
It would be. I'm like, it would be shocking to reveal that we saw 3 different versions.
Yeah, I saw the Russian
Yeah,
version, and I've been hiding it since until now.
that would be interesting.
Okay, well, I'll go next. Uh, let's see. I guess just the nice end of Sato coming back and Suzume seeing him while biking, and I guess he's just there to check the door again. Whether or not that's the keystone door where Daijin is, because the best guess is that's the far west one, but because I don't think he was there necessarily to come see her.
It it is ambiguous because he did say he'd see her again.
Yes, but he doesn't know where she
So
lives. She just knows
is
that
that
he
true?
knows the town they met.
Yeah, I guess they never
Oh, that's not
did
true.
go.
That's not true at
Did
all.
they?
No, that's not true at all. She
Oh,
takes
as a
him to her
chair.
room.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Brain fart. Um. So I mean, it works either way. If he's there to check the portal, or if he's there to visit her, they both fit. They both
I
make
think
sense
it's
for him.
both.
Yeah, I think it can function either way.
But I like that that's where the movie ended, and it wasn't just like, title, everyone just hanging out, doing whatever. Like, oh, they're having their lives. No, it's like, oh, they actually do meet back up again. He
Yeah.
kept his word, kind of thing. All right, last points, Crimson.
All right. Is some groundwork. Is this going to be a viewer vision? I know it's coming up a lot in this one. Um, Sota seeing Suzume pull him through the door as he's cold. Realistically, she isn't at a door to pull him through. So, how do you interpret the scene?
Who are you asking first?
I'll go with you.
Okay, cool. I think that is his dream state, his viewpoint, because as the chair, he dreams in a way that he's out of body and it's getting colder and colder, and he's frozen on that like beach stuck to the chair, and that is her breaking that away from him and awakening him in this comatose state he's in as being a keystone, and her awakening him being the connection is what is drawing him awake to go through that door, because even in his like dreams to wake up out of the curse that he is the keystone is her opening the door for him to awake, because she can't tell if he's fully keystoned, if he is awake, if he's sleeping. He's making no noise, he's just a chair, and when he does sleep the chair falls over, so it's like the chair fully becomes itself. It doesn't stay standing up, even though in her room with nothing around it we can see the chair just stands on its own. So it does kind of give more the element that he's gone during the night. So I do think that her opening the door of getting him to stand up off of the chair, breaking the freeze, is all in Sato's own head of awakening out of that comatose state.
It does bring up an interesting point. If they can kind of, in a way, hallucinate something like that, like a dream state. At the end, when they meet each other on the road, her breath is visible, like it's cold.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
in a, she's in
It'd
a
I think
be
she's
it's
in a
just winter.
jacket and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's doing jacket.
she's
It'd be
She's
interesting
a,
if they both stayed frozen. They both turned into keystones, and
oh
everything
god, that would be
passed as a dream
sad.
state.
That would be sad. Oh my
that's
It's
pretty rough.
theoretically possible.
It's
I guess
theoretically
that's a different
possible,
movie, but
but
yeah.
I'm going to buy into the canon that they had a happy drive home and their
They
mom
could
got
be in
to
a
meet
Yes.
happy dream
everybody.
world.
No. I don't. I like the happy. They're fine. They're
Well, I
not
mean, we
keystones.
we literally see them outside the Ever After and closing the door. I'm
I
more
mean, that can
inclined
be
to
in the
believe it's
dream.
not a dream.
I mean,
That could be. It's not though. I don't see any. If they wanted it to be in a dream, they could have conveyed it differently.
Crimson, and that's the movie you want this to be. Go right ahead.
I don't know if that's what I want it to be, but it's the way it could be. But okay, right, your thoughts on the door? Getting pulled through the door.
Uh, you mean? Hold on. Sorry. One more time.
Suzume
Like
saving him.
yeah.
Visually, it's of her coming through a door to pull him out when there is no such thing. So, is it viewer
I
vision? Is it his thoughts? What do you think? It
um probably somewhere in the middle, honestly. With how it's portrayed earlier in the first one, with him freezing up like on a middle of nowhere, that might just be like his world more or less in his perception at that point in time. With the, I think it is mostly viewer vision though. Like this is what their choice of how they're visualizing what's going on to us, the audience.
okay? I guess for myself,
Yeah, don't exclude you. We want
don't
to know.
exclude me. Uh, I'm not a fan of the visual subjectively, but I think the way they intended it is through his eyes. This is what his mind is seeing in whatever state he is metaphysically within a chair. Because I mean, we kind of see two different things. We see him kneeling cold, I think twice. The first time she opens the door, and then at the end when she actually does save him. And then a time of him saying, "I feel so cold," and he like falls into an abyss. So it is kind of like he's in his own little space. So I
Yeah,
I
can
think that's
see
in his
that
head.
being
it
here.
might be like a trap. And this might be what Daijin experiences at the Keystone, for all we know. But this might be like, I guess, the visual demonstration of that in a way.
And that's my point.
Okay. Writer, last point.
Yeah, I was gonna go into. I really love the visuals that they take, like on of like Tamaki meeting everybody on the way back home. So like she gets to experience the return journey with Suzume and gets to meet everybody and gets to apologize and thank everyone for taking care of her. I it's it's not a literal thing because it happens in the credits, but I quite like it as an addition to the story to know that Tamaki got to share in that part of Suzume's life, part of Suzume's adventure.
Yeah, I think it's a good bonding moment, and also shows that Suzume is willing to keep up these new connections, these new friends. They're not just there for the adventure.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, I like the story of leaving Tamaki getting further and further away in all the instances of who she's interacting with. And then on the way back is the opposite effect of seeing everyone that Suzume has interacted with, but Tamaki seeing like how she took on Suzume as a child because her mom died and having to care, seeing the care from others throughout the journey of just 4 days of who have been kind enough to take Suzume in and give hospitality to, which is really nice because Chika is, someone I think almost close to same age as Suzume, so it seemed like a different output of like a family life parallel to that of Suzume. Next
Well, they
one
both said
is
they're juniors, so they
okay, so equal
yeah.
equal age kind of look. And then the next one is a mom with two kids of a family already taking someone in and seeing like the family life of a mother. And then the next one, who doesn't exactly take her in, but Serizawa of a connection to Sato and seeing like the connection of like his side, like his family. Like you get a little bit with like the people in the store underneath his flat who are like, oh yeah, he's so kind and everything, but they're not really. They get like one scene. So Serizawa, like the connection of that, still looking over Suzume to be there because her connection to Sato. So
They
just
gave
like
up his room key to a
that,
complete stranger.
they did. It's a little questionable, but
Yeah.
yeah, I just thought that was kind of the parallel of Tamaki and Suzume and the people they interacted with, which I think is completely intentional for the film, choosing those kind of people
yeah.
that they did.
Like I said, it's just, I recognize the objective convenience that it creates in the story that all these people come out of the woodwork to help Suzume, but I actually subjectively really enjoy it because it makes it feel like a tight knit community.
Yeah. All right. Was that answered by everyone? That one?
Yes.
Okay. So that leaves me, huh? The last point.
The big point.
The big point. Classically, I don't know how big this will be, but I saw it throughout the movie. So it is an overarching thing. And it's also one of those deep questions. And does Sprinks know the answer? I don't know. What is the message of the butterfly?
I had that written down too. Who's answering that first, Springs?
I mean, I have the
I th-
actual answer, so I'll wait till the end.
oh,
Oh,
you go
okay.
last. You go last. I'm gonna go with the one who knows about a blue butterfly consequence background. Let's go with Crimson.
Funny you mentioned that because that's what I was going to bring up. I think it's like a visual representation of her mother being around, pretty much.
Oh, you think it's her mom?
That's what I think. You had it in the beginning, and then when she wakes up, there's the butterflies there. At the ending, there was also the butterflies there. So I don't remember the context at the end of butterflies, but they were there. Um, so I think it's just the mother. I don't have much more to
Okay.
really add to it.
Okay. Okay. Good. Uh, I thought it was a point on being free, of freeing oneself, because it doesn't show a caterpillar, it doesn't show a cocoon, it just shows the butterflies being shown. And I saw that as like the breakthrough, like the third stage, and her getting away from Tamaki isn't being like cooped up kind of feel, or being on a whole new adventure, a whole new life, whole new thing she's seen, but that's still connected to her being at 4 years old, still going into the ever after. And the butterfly is just kind of that look of like she is being more free. She's being more open, more expressive of herself, um, and going forward in life and everything. So that's how I viewed it to be more so, because the butterfly isn't like landing on her. It's not like Awa from Avatar, like interacting or anything. It's just like a visual kind of transition little shot as she's going along. But it's not like, that's why I bring it up. It's not tons of bugs. It's the butterfly specifically. So that's how I saw it. But Ryder has the actual answer, it seems.
Yes. Butterflies are regularly used to symbolize coming of age in Japanese culture. So I think both of your interpretations kind of feed into that, actually, because in the terms of the butterfly meaning coming of age, she has to let go of past trauma, which is a direct tie to her mom as far as I'm concerned. So her mom is still lingering with her and she's still growing up. And the whole feeling of being free is a part of growing up. You have to leave, your nest of safety at some point to go on living your life as an adventure. So I think both of your interpretations fold neatly into that, to be honest with you.
Okay. But the butterfly, do you think, is a reincarnation of her mom?
Do I? Um,
I suppose so. It seems like Crimson was kind of leaning that way.
Um, Kind of in a metaphysical sense, not like her mom's controlling the butterflies. Um, it's just like her aura, I guess.
Okay. I don't know if the Alice in Wonderland connection is good. The Tim Burton one. Have you both seen it?
I don't remember enough. I don't remember any butterflies.
Yeah. Well, damn. Never mind. I guess I can't use that example.
All right, is that
Okay.
it then?
I think that's it. That's the
I
whole.
think that's it.
What is it? Kitten caboodle? Is that what they say? I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. That is a phrase that people use. Yeah.
That is the snickerdoodle. Yep.
That tells me Crimson does not know the phrase. Okay, we'll go into summers and ratings. Let's see here. Crimson, do you have the ratings we've given on Your Name and Weathering with You on hand?
Yeah, I can pull them up. If you give me a minute.
Awesome. Well, I'll give you time as we go to Writer first.
Okay. Let's see. I will do my objective first. I think Crimson said it best earlier. I think the characters are all consistent with themselves. They don't really do anything that's necessarily out of character. The questionable one being Daijin. I'm not fully on board that he's out of character, but I do think that there are some nicks here that can be cleared away with some explanations in terms of plot and world building. The plot is episodic at first, but it is poorly paced as well. Not poorly paced, but it has some pacing problems. It's got some plot armor here and there that protect the characters, and I think it is pushed forward a lot with convenience, which for me definitely damages the plot a fair bit. but it's not broken. I think the things that potentially break the plot or have more world building issues than they are plotting or character issues. Um, the main character issues that could be interpreted probably from Daijin that would affect the plot, and world building just nature and how the nature of like pushing the plot in a particular direction. He's leading them along. There was more efficient ways to do this, but he's really saved by the fact that he just the character trait that I ascribe to him is he doesn't how understand humans. Um, so I think that being said, the weakest part of this is probably the world building. We went over and over again on the fundamentals of how the magic system works. There's plenty of interpretations. There's not a lot of solid ground to stand on for like what we know for sure works outside of a prayer and a key that can close doors. Um, we have a lot of questions regarding everything else regarding the magic system and the world building. I think externally the magic system it makes a lot of sense that it's just otherwise functions as normal modern day Japan. I think information gets around fast. I think it's convenient that Tamaki can find her randomly in Tokyo. I mean, the fix for this is that she's tracking Suzume's phone, and that can be shown in another scene because Suzume's phone at that point is charged and would give off a signal. Um, all in all, I think objectively I'm sitting at a solid 5. Um, Subjectively, I still have a lot of love for anime in general, obviously. Um, but I think the animation's very pretty. I like a lot of the stuff here conceptually. I don't hate any of the characters. Um, so subjectively, I'm at about a 7, I think. Um, and I guess I'd be curious to see how it lines up and see if it's gonna. I'm gonna want to change anything based off of our previous or scores.
I mean, I have the numbers if you want to
Yeah,
check them
that
now.
that that was me.
The
That was me
numbers.
not so subtly queuing you up. Yes.
Okay. Well, writer, for your name, you gave it an objective 7 and a subjective 8. And for Weathering with You, you gave it an objective 7.5 and a subjective 8.5.
Okay. I would probably swap Weathering with You and your name now, but I think I'm okay with where I landed for Suzume.
Crimson, you get to go next.
I get to go next. Okay.
Yes.
So, what do I want to start with? I'll start with my subjective. This is in the middle of the pack for me. Your Name, I loved. I gave that an 8. I don't throw out 8s all that often, subjective wise, especially for new stuff to me. Usually it's nostalgia that brings stuff up to an 8. So it's pretty impressive when things that don't have nostalgia tied to them get to that point. This is better than Weathering with You. Weathering with You, I did not care for. I gave that one a 4.5 subjectively. But this one just didn't grab me that much. I liked the visuals. Suzume herself was amusing at points. She's got a bubbly personality. I said it earlier that the romance or the relationship didn't really grab me all that much. Seeing a sentient chair run around is somewhat amusing. And so I was bouncing between a 5.5 or 6 road enjoyment for me, and I think I'll land at a 6 by the end of it. Don't really need to see it again. But if I was doing a trilogy run, sure, I'll watch it. I don't think I will do a trilogy run. I'd probably just watch Your Name and call it a day. Objectively, this one's a toughie. I feel like I was the biggest critic. I brought up a lot of stuff that I viewed as damaging to this. I think the magic system is absolutely abhorrent. Almost every facet of the magic has questions. and not the good kind. I think there's some avenues that are gray enough to be okay, fine, maybe I can be lenient here. There's others that are just so bad. Like you, like we talked heavily with the you can't go to the ever after unless you've been there already. Well, how do you get there already if you can't get there in the first place? And they don't explain her first time getting there. Sprinks pitched the time thing where it's all happening at the same time. I don't think there's enough in the movie for me to go with that route, so I'm going to take the more blunt reading of it, of what the grandpa said is the rules. The doorways are inconsistent. They can blow you away unless you're at a Ferris wheel. Then you're fine. You can just walk into it and you're a-okay. She's in a trance, looking at her mother. Yet, um, the key starts emitting voices, and now she starts thinking about the people. When before that, the key did not emit voices. It was the user who thought of the past. That's inconsistent. The keystones, we talked heavily about the keystones. I don't want to retread it too much, but I think I gave something about the keystones was a flaw and something was an issue about them, I think. Either way, high on the damage ladder for the keystones. The white cat, Daijin.
Daijin.
Inconsistent character in my eyes. Inconsistent with any motivations there may be. Seems like he wants to help. Seems like he cares about Suzume. But then he does all these things that doesn't make sense. Why not tell her he's helping? Why not help her better? We get a bunch of coincidences. I brought up a fix of like the bike where he's the one that knocks over the oranges. He could have gotten to her sooner when he said, you're running late or you're behind, or I forgot what the line was. And while at the top with the final worm battle, I guess, where it's all these swirlies that I don't think looked that great, visually, the animators made him look like a villain. The eyes, everything. I mean, even the way he's talking, where he's just nonchalant and doesn't care if people die, does not seem like he's trying to help. Though he, in his own mind, thinks he is when she's like bad mouthing, like, I hate you. You don't love me. Very inconsistent. I'm not a fan of it. I don't think it makes sense. Everybody else, though, as I stated before, thoroughly consistent, I believe. The integration of the second keystone, the black cat, kind of out of nowhere. My first reading of it, which I don't think I said in the podcast, was I thought the grandpa released it in the past, which is why he's familiar with the cat. And he told him to protect her, kind of sent it on the way. It didn't really have any character like Daijin did. You had the one moment where it possessed the ant. That's pretty much the character of that cat. There's just the one scene of it being like morally great or bad. That's about it. The best part of this is the visuals. I brought up a couple inconsistencies. You had the copy paste trees. You had the clipping. That's about it that I caught. The integration of 3D assets overall was pretty good. A lot of those foreground flowers looked almost 2D, just the intent behind it. Pacing was no bueno for me. As stated, I'm rambling. Gotta leave some meat on the bone for Sprinks. So I'm at a 4.5 objective.
It sounds like to me you would like to put this movie on a tablet, put it in a picture frame, mute it, and just put it up on a wall to look at.
Sure. Yeah. It's beautiful.
Okay. Two things you said in that I want to point out. One, you said I stated that the world was all happening at the same time in the ever after. That's not what I meant when I said no time existed there. I don't think Yun Suzume could be viewed at any point there in the ever after.
So they went in at the same time through their time?
She went in where a connection was made to find Yun Suzume because time does not work in that realm. but I don't think it's all existing like frozen in state until older version of her 12 years later comes to that point. Because time doesn't exist in that realm, I don't think. So that secondly, you said an 8 you gave your name and you love. So an 8 is considered love. What do you call a 10?
Perfect. Amazing. I mean, I've never really assigned a word per grade, but eight, sure, eight is great. Maybe love was strong.
Okay.
8 is great.
It
We'll
shocked me
rhyme
that
it.
8 was love. And I'm like, what's above that? Okay.
Sure, 8 is great. We'll rhyme it.
Okay. Just wanted to check on that. Okay. Do I get to know my scores for the past 2 before?
And your host, that's up to you if you want to cheat yourself or not.
Uh,
Yeah,
why
I
I can
gave
tell
it
you if
to
you
that's
want.
afterwards, so
unfair. Yeah, you know what? I'll play fair. I won't. I'll start with my subjective. My subjective is a 7.5, which might seem a little high, but to me, a connection that the movie reminds me of that raises my subjective to that is it reminds me a lot about Kingdom Hearts, which is one of my all-time favorite video game franchises out there. And there's a lot of things in this movie that are very similar and remind me of stuff that happens in Kingdom Hearts. So that I enjoy. And
Our
that is
friendship
probably
compels you.
Power of Friendship, Realm of Darkness. Let's close the door with a key. Uh, the mind space is like an ocean you can breathe in. Uh, you got different forms that you put your body into, even though it's still you. Connections of other characters through other characters and means of items. Yeah, pretty cool. Um, Objectively, I think the animation is beautiful. I think the camera work, even though it's hard to tell, has added in immersion in an animated feature that they didn't not. It seems they went above and beyond to do, which I really credit them for, and I think that's really, really good. It doesn't feel stale or stagnant for it. So I want to give good kudos to that because it is hard for me to tell at times, but I did notice it in this movie. I think the voice acting is very well done amongst all, but Suzume, and again, this was the Japanese version for me. Suzume, I think, was the best because her expression and voice to Tamaki when being angry had so much emotion, and her feel of loss to Soda turning into a keystone was so saddening. And those both performed very well, I think, to me, in the emotion of the voice. I think the lighting in the movie very good. That works with the animation. It's very colorful. Costume design fitting to Japanese style and culture. Um, there's some questionable things in the writing of sure the magic of it. I'm certainly not as dire and harsh on it as Crimson is, of what's point out, but I do see there are some holes, and I think there would have definitely been some aid to explain some stuff in it a little stronger. But I can see line work of things that could be, so it's not like completely blanketed, overlooked, misplaced kind of thing. To me, at least to me, in aspects of that. Um, I think the dialogue amongst characters pretty darn well amongst all of them. The hospitality of people. Maybe I think that's a little nick of it that like of the overall the situation at hand because we went into like Daijin maybe being the yin yang and having like luck to it that the interactions with people were always positive. Suzume never got in a negative connotation with a stranger looking for aid. Kind of like a businessman on his way to work and she runs into him and he gets mad. It's like that doesn't really happen or something along those lines. It seems everyone's very gracious to help her, which is very positive when the opposite is, a world destroying worm that's the embodiment of evil that's going to kill everybody in an apocalyptic event. So, I always leave something out. What am I leaving out? there's something I want to touch on that I am leaving out, which stinks. But with all that, of what's being said, I think this movie is pretty darn well made, even for its bumps, and I have it at an objective 8.
Wow, that might be one of our largest subjective gaps between you and Ice Cream. Let's see.
Possibly.
So your name, you gave a subjective 8.4 and an objective 8.5.
Okay,
And for
I
Weathering
feel
with
like
You,
I feel like on a rewatch, your name might subjectively go higher.
right? And then Weathering with You, subjective 7 and objective 8. So Suzume
Okay,
seems
so
to be middle of the line subjective, right in the middle of those two.
okay, that makes sense to me. And your name's made better, which also makes sense because the twist in your name was really good. This
It caught
pacing.
you all off guard.
Yeah, pacing was the thing I missed. Yes, the pacing in this movie is not fantastic, but I think the pacing strengthens the message of what I think it's trying to portray of the people in your life are there for you.
It's not useless, the different like feeling of
Yeah.
pacing in the film, but it
But
is still felt.
A big built-up climax of what you've been going for is that the whole world defending killing thing is going to kill everything, and that's the middle of the movie. A little shocking. It's like watching Age of Ultron, and the Sokovia bit is the middle of the movie. So
I'm going to change my objective to a 5.
oh,
I was thinking about it, and I'm like, I didn't give enough weight to the characters being consistent. So,
Yeah.
5.
The only real nick on characters is Daijin, right? So
Yeah.
and I'm not too strong on that as you two are,
Yeah.
because God's work in mysterious ways, or how I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like I think I would be swapping my subjective with because Weathering with You is higher than your name, right? Subjectively, I feel like I would swap that now on a rewatch, but I think everything else is somewhat consistent.
Yeah, in my head of memory, I have your name, Suzume, Weathering with You. But again, I've only seen Weathering with You and your name once, so I feel like I do got. I very much want to go see your name in theaters again.
Yeah.
Well, I say again,
I-
just see it. I haven't seen it in theaters, but
Hey, we might have seen it last week by the time this comes out.
that is possible, and we could talk about it in the recap.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, no, I'm kind. I think it's I'm at I feel like I would be. Your name is up would come first. I think I subjectively enjoy Weathering with You more. No, well, okay. Suzume's better subjectively, I think, than Weathering with You, but I think objectively, Weathering with You is better than Suzume. There's a lot less magic problems to go around that would damage the world building, I think. But yeah, I think I'm okay with how the rankings of my trilogy have turned out thus far, with the one change aside.
Mine would be the same as Sprinks. Your name, Suzume, Weathering.
In terms of preference to watch, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Then again, Weathering with You was the first one we watched, so I was a much different podcastee back in that day.
We
I
were
might have a
different
completely-
podcasters then.
Yeah, I might have a whole new viewpoint on what
I mean, that was like year 1 or close to.
Yeah, we weren't in our version 2 outfits. It was before episode 52.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I guess that is the way of thinking about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, if that is everything, shall I read us out?
I'm ready.
I think so. And audience, there is something next week. But I mean, there's something every week, doy. But, stay tuned for next
not
week.
a recap. Next week is not a recap.
Yeah.
That's true. Next week is not a recap. All right, audience, thank you for listening, whether it be Spotify, Amazon, Castbox, Good Pods, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, and Samsung. And if it'd be our visual side of things, be it YouTube or Rumble or frickin' Spotify, thank you for watching our PNG Tuber slideshow there. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe everywhere. Tell us how much you hate our opinions or how much you love them. And as always, I've been a Geeky Writer.
I'm Crimson Maroon.
And I am Sprinks.
And we will catch you next time. Later, everybody.
Bye.
Toodaloo.